Hello, everybody. How are you doing? I hope everyone is doing fine and keeping warm. I know there's a lot of storms out there, rain, snow, and ice. So if you're out there and if you're listening to this, please drive safely and carefully. If you're watching this on the rerun, welcome to my channel. I'm Pop Culture Curator. And I host on Mondays. I host reviews of Star Trek: The Animated Series with Anti-Derivative Jill, Scotty R37, and Gorilla's Random Thoughts. On Tuesdays, you'll find me on Anti-Derivative Jill's channel, where you'll find us reviewing Star Trek: The Original Series. And on Wednesday, I have the wonderful Gorilla's Random Thoughts as my co-panelist, and we cover reviews of 2 episodes of Gilligan's Island every Wednesday. And I'm really enjoying that. As you can tell, I'm a fan of classic movies and TV, so I'm guilty in that area. But tonight I am doing musings and rumblings from the lab, and what this is it's usually open topic, open panel, open chat, or if something comes to my interest that happens during the day or during the week, I'll bring it up here because sometimes I want to kind of bounce the ideas off other people. And I know one of the main news articles that has hit the press here and most recently, the last day or two, is Henry Cavill being outed of Warner Brothers for Superman. I guess James Gunn no longer wants him as part of the DC universe. And I wanted to give my thoughts about that. I know a lot of people are fans of Henry Cavill. That's fine. You know what? Honestly, I like the man. I think he's a true he treats his fans well. I've seen how when other people deride the fans, how he comes to their defense. He seems to be a very classy man. I even watched the video where he assembled a computer. I mean, he's very cool. I think he's very humble and caring. And I think his casting as Superman by Zack Snyder, in my opinion, I think was a wonderful idea. And Resolute Germ, hail Resolute Germ. By the way, if you come along and if you're in the channel, if you're in the panel, I'm sorry, I'm tongue tied. I'm just getting started. I apologize. But if you come along and if you join, hello here. There we go. Resolute Germ says hello, and They Call Me Nobody says, I love the Gilligan's Island reviews. I always try to catch them. Well, thank you, They Call Me Nobody. I love doing them. Gilligan's Island was one of my favorites as a kid growing up. I do have a link in the chat if anybody would like to join the panel, so I'm not necessarily talking to myself. But I don't know if this stream can be very long anyway. All I'm going to do is talk pretty much about Henry Cavill and the deal with Superman. And if that's all that comes to the topic tonight, well, then so be it. And this will be a relatively short stream. If anybody else joins the panel and they have other things they want to talk about, that's absolutely fine as well. We can make it a little longer. I can adapt. And here we have our first visitor. Hail, Resolute Germ.
How you doing, Pop?
I am doing pretty good. Not bad. I know this stream is a little late. Kind of a last-minute deal. I'm hoping maybe Gorilla, I know he's busy shoveling snow, but I'm hoping maybe he can get a few minutes to join us. How are you doing tonight, sir?
I didn't have to work as late as I thought I was going to do, so.
Well, that's always a good thing.
That.
I'm trying my Stream Elements bot to see if it'll work and if it'll show your channel. I'm trying to trigger it. Or is it's either Resolute or Germ. Let me try Germ. That's probably what I put in. Let's see if that works. And also, buddy, if you'd like to put a link to your channel in the chat, there it is. Yeah. Okay, good. My Stream Elements bot's working. And They Call Me Nobody. If you'd like to put a link to your channel or any information about your channel, feel free to do so. Also, you're welcome to come up on the panel if you'd like. So, I mean, I'm sorry. If you want to put your channel in the chat, there we go. I need to get everything straight there. So, what I'm talking about is, I'm sure if anybody in the geek community has heard the last day or two, what seems to be dominating the press is the fact. And They Call Me Nobody says, I have no useful opinions on the modern Superman stuff. Oh, well, then that may lead into what I have to discuss tonight, sir. But I know a lot of people are up in arms because it was announced that James Gunn, who is one of the new leaders of DC, oh, here we go. Hail, they call me nobody. How are you doing there, sir?
Hey guys. As I mentioned in my one comment, I can't speak much to modern Superman stuff because I don't watch it. I'm done with pop culture. Basically, it's over for me. They've destroyed too much. It's just been ruined, and I can't watch it anymore. But if you want to geek out, Superman 3, filmed in Calgary and High River. I lived in Calgary at the time and had a small towing company. And if you watch Superman 3, there is a scene where there's a black tow truck towing away a car. That's me.
Oh, I did not know that. Yeah, I definitely know Superman 3. Everybody knows it's very infamous. That's the one with Richard Pryor. It was pretty much Superman the comedy.
Yeah. I don't get me wrong, I didn't get to meet none of the stars, but I saw them. It was pretty cool.
So you saw them as they were filming and shooting right there on the streets?
Yeah, I saw Richard Pryor having a cigarette. I didn't walk up to him and say anything because he looked like he didn't look like he was in a good mood.
Well, at least he was smoking a cigarette, not freebasing, right?
Yeah, right.
So do you by chance remember which scene it was they were shooting?
I really don't. I'd have to watch the movie again. It's been so many years. Jesus Christ. But I mean, for a while there, all my friends were laughing and screaming about it. Hey, I know that truck.
Hail, Captain Pinity. Welcome.
And like,
an open
seriously,
panel. If
I
you'd like to
mean,
join us, Captain.
it's totally, it's nothing.
Oh, it's a piece of history, and it'll always be there. That movie's gonna always be there, right?
Yeah, it's kind of cool. So when you see it says highway towing on the doors, black Chevy, square body Chevy, that's me, man.
But you weren't there to shoot the movie as background. You just happened to be towing a car.
Yeah,
and got caught on camera,
they
right?
hired me to do initially just to tow around some of their stunt cars and their other junk that sometimes wouldn't run, right? And so
Right.
I was there for like 2 weeks. They paid me a lot of money too. It was sweet.
No, that's more than just a background character. That is pretty sweet.
Yeah, and then like I said, I ended up in a scene. I didn't even know it until I saw the movie myself.
Now, you mean in your truck? Was you in it, or you yourself out of the truck in the scene, or how did they do that?
No, it's just my truck driving by. You can't even really see me. It's just the truck driving by on the street behind the characters. That's it.
No, that's very.
I'm
very cool. I'm
told
gonna check
as
it
they
out.
were filming that, they had traffic going by, and I was towing off one of the dead cars on the set, and
Right.
for the mechanics to fix. And they just caught it and left it in. There it is.
Okay, so I'm guessing that it had to be one of the city scenes where they show the city and people driving.
It is. It's one of the city scenes, and it's a pretty dull scene, as I recall. It's something with
Yeah,
Clark and Lois talking. It's dumb.
right. No, but
It's
that's
a
no.
totally unremarkable moment.
Well, I'm sure it is, but it's still part of the movies. Okay, so this helps me narrow down the scene. So I'm guessing it was an outside scene that was supposed to take place in Metropolis. Lois and Clark were talking, and you were towing the cars that drive by in the background. Those are actors that drive by in the background just to fill the scene to make it look like a city traffic. So you were towing
Exactly.
those cars when they broke down, right?
Right. And the sad part is it wasn't part of the act or anything. I really was towing a car that had broken down back to their garages.
That's very cool. And I do miss Christopher Reeve as Superman. He'll always be my Superman.
Yeah, that's I got to meet him before he was in a wheelchair and got his
Oh.
autograph and shit. Like, I've always been, look, I'm a pretty old dude, and for me Superman was the superhero. Period.
Yes.
Batman didn't have powers like Superman did.
Well, at that point, all we had was Batman 66, right? And then we had
The
Superman.
other thing that I always liked about Superman is, even like the song said, the old Superman song, he says he could have smashed through any bank in the United States, but he would not. Of course not, because he was a moral man.
A big blue Boy Scout.
That's what, I'm sorry, but that's what made Superman my hero as a kid.
Well,
I
that's
knew he was
actually
good.
exactly that's one of the points I'm going to be bringing up during this stream. Um, that's the embodiment of Superman. That's the reason why he was created. That's why the two creators originally created him, is because he's like a big blue Boy Scout. He does not tell a lie. He does not break laws. He does not kill people. He's not a violent person. He has a very kind soul. And in my opinion, that is all the things I just mentioned are missing from the current Superman
I agree.
movies. So I think we're kind of on the same page there.
Same goes with this dark Batman BS. Like, I'm sorry, but Batman was mildly violent in my day, but he never killed anyone. He never went off the rails and beat the living hell out of anybody. It was just, this is it. I'm going to stop you and you're going to jail. That's what he did. And we knew he didn't have superpowers.
Yeah,
I like
but that was
Batman
pretty
too. But
tame.
yeah,
Detective Comics Batman was a fair bit.
yeah,
more.
and then come along this Dark Knight shit and stuff, and everything got. That's not Batman, not my Batman.
That was emo Batman, not violent Batman. That's emo Batman.
Emo Batman.
Emo.
I love it.
They confuse emo
right.
with. They think emo is dark and brooding. There's a big difference. They don't seem to realize what the difference is.
Well, not only that, but I think it was kind of centered toward narcissism, and people who are narcissists seem to enjoy it. But I'm not saying everybody who watches it are narcissists, so please don't get me wrong, guys. But in my opinion, okay, I know Henry Cavill. The big backlash right now, a lot of people are just going crazy because he's being replaced, and that's the reason why I want to have this stream tonight, because I think my opinion might be. I don't usually follow along with everyone else's opinion. This opinion may not be very popular, and I'm sure people are going to hate me for it. But I want to give a little background. And Superman, in my opinion, I watched the old 1940 serials. I watched the 1958 show with George Reeves. And those were I watched as a kid, and it was like, okay, it's Superman. That's cool. That's okay, whatever. But when I saw the Superman, the movie, and I stood in line the very first day, it totally blew me away. And that's when Superman really hit home as far, and because at that point I was reading so many comics. They were all my favorite. I wasn't really sure which one was my favorite. But after watching the Superman movie, Superman was my favorite. And Christopher Reeve, thanks to his performance and thanks to the writing of the movie, thanks to the director, he embodied the character the way the character should be. Yes. He was wholesome. He was honest.
Superman.
Right. Absolutely.
Really
he was. He was. I mean, not only did he look like Superman, he acted like Superman. And not only that, though, which made his performance, in my opinion, so outstanding, was he was also excellent as Clark Kent. I think he did an excellent job as both characters. They're two separate characters, but it showed his range that he was able to do two different characters.
And it goes deeper. In his private life, outside of the movies and such, he was a very good man that gave a lot to charity. Even when after he was in a wheelchair, he was still giving money to charity.
Yes. Yes, he was a very kind. I never heard a bad story about him. I never heard anything about conceit or vanity at all about Christopher Reeve. He was definitely one in a million.
Well, like I said, when I got to meet him and he signed a Superman comic for me, I couldn't believe how genuine and what a nice guy he was to everyone there. He actually gave a shit. He wasn't just like, here's your signature, now fuck off, like so many other people are. No, he took the time to ask you who you were, where you were from, you know. Like, he was a real genuine human being. I really liked that, man.
I have to ask, did you get to shake his hand?
I did.
There you go. That's the thing to remember. That's what makes it real. And you got to see that fantastic smile that he had close up in person.
Yeah, like no homo, but Jesus.
Oh no, I don't mean that either. No,
I don't mean that either. Dude, man. I mean, he had perfect teeth, absolutely perfect.
Well, his face, his structure. I mean, he was Superman. It's like he leapt right out of the comics.
It's true. It's like he was Superman, and no one will ever replace Christopher Reeves for me. No one.
Yes, I totally agree. And you know what? And I kind of feel guilty about is he not only played Superman, but he was in other movies as well. And when I watched him in other movies, I was like, oh yeah, but that's just Superman. And so I am guilty of that because he impacted me so much as Superman. It was hard to see him as somebody else in other movies. Even though he was fine in the other movies, he was a great actor. He had a lot of range. It was hard for me to not see him as Superman all the time or Clark Kent. Yeah, it seemed like whenever I saw him in the movies, he was always playing Clark Kent most of the time.
Yeah, same. He didn't. He was bad. I think there was no choice in the matter. Everyone knew him as Superman / Clark Kent, and he was typecast that way. There were any other movies he starred in, that's what everybody saw him as. Same goes with the poor cast from Gilligan's Island. Over the years, they try to cast them in different things, and everybody's like, that's Ginger, that's fucking Gilligan,
Yep, exactly. And like you were saying, the actress who played Ginger there, Tina Louise, her and Alan Hale Jr., the skipper, and Jim Backus and them, they all had big careers before they went on Gilligan's Island, but after that, they were typecast.
It's true. It destroyed their careers. Jim Backus had a very good career. He damn near won an Oscar for Rebel Without a Cause with James Dean.
See, people seem to forget about he's an excellent dramatic actor as well. He's another one who has a lot of range. A lot of times they say the comedians can make the best actors.
Hey, do you know a lot of folks don't realize that he voiced Mr. Magoo?
Oh yes. Oh, if you watch some of my earlier streams, I covered some of the things he did before Gilligan's Island. So he did Mr. Magoo, and there was also a wine commercial that was out popular, and he would say, I played a clip on it during my channel. Oh, we have another guest. Welcome, PvP. How are you doing there, sir?
Well, I'm getting ready for a medical procedure tomorrow.
So I hope
I won't go into any details.
No, I have to say, you remind me of the doctor from The Simpsons. You have that little laughter and everything, and you share some scary news that you're going to the doctor for a procedure at the same time you can laugh while doing it. So I gave you that, sir.
I've been prepping for it today. If that gives you any hint of what it might be. So it's
just to give you a little brotherly love, about a month ago, I had to go into Prince George, and they stuck a needle under my kneecap and drained a bunch of fluid out of it.
Oh, ouch.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be that bad. Oh, that sounds painful.
Yeah, hopefully they gave you some morphine or something really strong for that.
Yeah.
Not really. They gave me some numbing shots around the kneecap and then went for it. And it fucking hurt. It sucked.
Oh my god.
Man, that sounds
Canada's listen, man. Don't let anyone tell you that Canada's medical system is cool. It's not. It's a fucking nightmare. They can barely afford to fix you up and take care of you. And if things really go south, they'll just say, "Hey, man, we can assist you in dying."
That's their number one care option now.
Well, I don't know if they're known for being fantastic medical system, but I'm in the U.S. and the only thing we hear about it is at least it's free, and it's not revolving around who has the most money like it does in the U.S.
Well,
if you pay attention and actually go through the insurance the way it's supposed to go through, you can get very good care for not too high a price.
In Canada?
In the U.S.
No, in Canada it's socialized, so it comes out of your taxes.
Well, it should here, in my opinion, too. We're paying all these taxes, and we don't get any.
Like I said, if you're an older, I'm going to say it openly. If you're an older white person and you walk in there with some serious physical problem, the first thing that's going to come out of their mouths is, "Well, we can assist you in dying."
Of course, and I heard about their passing that new laws where they're making it easier to euthanize people.
Oh yeah,
even people against their will.
The slippery slope is here. Right. Soon, right now, they're already saying, okay, like if you're depressed and you have mental issues, we'll kill you for that. too if you really want.
Right,
What's
even if it's
next
against your
is
will,
now
right?
next they're going to say, well, this person is mentally ill and can't make decisions for themselves, so we're going to kill them because we believe that's what they really want.
Right, and they don't care if that person's struggling and fighting to live. They're just going to kill them
Right.
anyway.
It's just, I can't get over where our government is gone, man. It's unbelievable.
Did you hear about San Francisco trying to allow robots to use lethal force on people?
Yes. And by the way, I said this on other streams. I just want you folks to know a simple way to deal with mechs is called a net, a fishing net. The minute they're tangled up, they're screwed. Okay? Remember that.
Of course. Okay. But I totally agree with that. I totally agree. And that's definitely not fair. Okay, I'm going to share something here really quick. Forgive my crude presentation skills, everyone. Okay. This is, in my opinion, the real Superman. He wasn't big and jacked up like a big bodybuilder and all that kind of stuff, which is fine. But as we all know, or at least most of us know, that are us old timers, is when Christopher Reeve was originally hired for the role of Superman, he was kind of skinny, but he really crunched and worked hard to buff up while he was filming. So you can see over the first 3 movies where he was physically changing his body. His trainer was Darth Vader himself, David Prowse. So those two worked together very closely to buff him up.
I got to admit, like, I'm 6'2", and I weigh a fair bit, and I have military training and stuff, but I met him before I was in the military. I was still just a kid. I was in the early 20s. And he was a big guy, man. He was big. Like, I met Arnold Schwarzenegger once, too, and I towered over him. He's tiny.
Yeah, exactly. I've heard he's much shorter than they make him look much bigger in the movies. In fact, I think he's like maybe 5'9".
I haven't met Stallone yet, but I hear he's like 5'6".
I'm not surprised. That's why they tend to hire actors that are around the same height as him when they're moving around the camera, right? Or put them in
I think Stallone's fairly
lifts.
And let's be honest, Tom Cruise is a dwarf. What is he, 5'4"?
5'2", 5'4", maybe. So imagine the work they have to do when they're shooting the movie around all these actors that are bigger than him, trying to make it look equal, right? Yeah, they're standing on a box probably most of the time.
Somehow he still gets all those big movies, though, so I guess he's doing okay.
Well, remember his religion. His religion's a big help. Remember that.
That's true.
Oh,
That's very, very true.
He's got a lot of money behind him.
Yeah, he has that Mission Impossible franchise, and he can bankroll that into pretty much any project he wants.
And let's not totally take a dump on Cruise. I've liked a lot of his movies over the years. I really have.
Well, enough people have where he's done pretty well at the box office for a long, long time, which is one reason he's still bankable, I guess.
Well, yeah, but I wonder how well he'd be doing over these years if he didn't have all those Scientology people paying to go see his movies just because of who he is.
I have no idea.
There's not enough Scientologists in this world to get those type of box office.
They required, it's just like the books when L. Ron Hubbard, and I don't want to get too much into the subject, but the founder of Scientology, L. Ron Hubbard, wrote books, and they required their constituents to buy those books in mass to make them bestsellers. So they would appear at the top of the bestseller list.
Did write some cool books, and he was a fairly brilliant guy early on in his career. It was then in my early days when I was starting to get into literature and learning about people. And I took fucking psychology through high school and college. And
I'm sorry for you.
I can tell you straight up, that man was clinically insane. He was out to lunch. And what he did is he, in a moment of clarity, he figured out a way to make a ton of money burning people.
That's not the first time. Yeah, somebody's done that. There's another religion founded almost the exact same way, but I don't want to upset anybody. Yeah, when you have people
I
who
think I know
suddenly,
what religion you mean. They come
right?
from
Yeah,
a certain southern western state.
yeah, and covered wagons, right? Is where they
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, suddenly God came into existence in the 1800s. But anyway, okay. So back to Superman. All right, Henry Cavill, of course, as everybody knows, has been outed of DC movies as James Gunn. And the reason why I wanted to discuss this tonight was because I know a lot, like I was saying, a lot of people were upset. A lot of people were fans of Henry Cavill. And the reason why I'm bringing this up and I wanted to cover this topic is because the character of Superman is very close to me, and I've been a fan ever since I was a kid, reading the comic books even before the movie came out. And I, like I said, watched the series, the cartoons, all that stuff. So my point is, I am happy that Henry Cavill is being replaced, and please don't shoot me, and I will give you my reasons. Because originally, when I saw him as Superman, his appearance, I thought, okay, he looks good. He looks good. Unfortunately, he was hired in a Zack Snyder production, so he was a dark Superman. Even his suit does not look bright red, blue, and yellow like Superman does in the poster you see it, that I'm sharing. His suit looked like they had painted black over it. Snyder wanted to intentionally
Well,
make
it was
look
black
dark.
in Justice League.
I don't mean solid black, but what I mean is it was like it slightly had the red, blue and yellow. But if you look at it, it also has like a black tinge over it, almost like he just came out of an oil bath or something, because he wanted to make it look darker. Because here's what happened. I'll make this fast. Okay, the Batman trilogy was by Christopher Nolan, and then Zack Snyder was like his apprentice or his sub or his assistant or some crap. So when Zack Snyder got the DC job and made Man of Steel, he thought, well, I'm going to make it just like Batman. That made $1 billion per movie. So I'm going to make a dark Superman. So lo and behold, we got Man of Steel, which I thought the casting of Superman was great. I didn't like Lois Lane at all. The big forehead. I didn't like the Lex Luthor. I didn't like the movie at all. I didn't like the movie because that was not Superman. That was like a cruel, sadistic killer. But unfortunately, it made money, and it made a lot of people fans of Henry Cavill. But in my opinion, I did not like
Henry Cavill made people a fan of Henry Cavill. Man of Steel was widely panned by pretty much everyone.
I would say it was divisive. I mean, yes, I agree. A lot of people hated it, including me and yourself and whoever else. But unfortunately, there were people that liked that narcissism and the dark mood of it. They seemed to like that. But for me, that wasn't Superman. That was far away opposite of what anything Superman could or would ever be. And between that, and then they obviously jumped right into Batman versus Superman. And that made, in my opinion, Superman even more unlikable. I think what really killed it for me, and I can narrow it down to one scene, and this is going to surprise you all. The one scene that really killed ever for me, ever accepting him as Superman, was when he got into the bathtub with Lois Lane. Superman would never do that. He would never take off his clothes and them two screw each other. Just like that. In Superman 2, with Christopher Reeve and Margot Kidder, they did it with class, and they did it like those two loved each other and they were about to get married. But by the time we get to this horrible Zack Snyder production, they just made it look like these two horny dogs just got into a bathtub and start screwing each other. That is not Clark Kent. Clark Kent, he's much right. He does not see Lois Lane like that. He has way too much respect for Lois Lane to ever do that.
Not only that, but he's not a human being. He's not.
Oh yeah, right. Above and beyond, right, the fact that he could kill her, having sex with her, right? He's not a human being, exactly. It was just all kinds of wrong. It was not Superman. Superman is, like I said, he's a big blue Boy Scout. He would never take off his clothes and get in the bathtub with anybody and screw them. So that scene made me absolutely hate him as Superman. It didn't make me hate Henry Cavill. It made me hate, I can tell you, Zack Snyder. I'll be honest. I really hate Zack Snyder now for what he did to Superman.
And I want to thank Superman. You for finally voicing my opinions right here on YouTube, because
because that's what I'm saying. My opinions are not going to be very popular, so I'm expecting to get a lot of heat from this.
No, Chris Longfellow, it's very, very popular on here.
Chris Longfellow, welcome, and thank you for joining us, Chris. Hi, guys. Rain Man is one of my favorites. It's a very muted color. Yeah, well, that too. Snyder reimagined. I agree, Chris. So here's what we have. We have, in fact, as we all know, in Man of Steel, they wouldn't even call him Superman, right? I mean, I don't even think they even use that word Superman, right? In any of those movies,
No.
because it's like they were ashamed of it, which is another thing that killed him as Superman. It's like, why make a Superman movie if you're ashamed of Superman himself? He was a narcissistic asshole.
Man of Steel, they didn't want him. They didn't want Snyder to put the word Superman.
Exactly. And it's like, what is the point then? Why make the movie? It's just like modern day Hollywood, like She-Hulk, for example, where they're hiring people who hate the source material and saying, here, go shoot this. We know you hate it, but go ahead and make it anyway.
Yeah, well, it's become commonplace now for them to
Snyder's
do that,
defense
right?
on that, Warner Brothers had some high-minded ideas with a new Superman franchise, so they put a lot of caveats. Like, they don't want him being called Superman in the first movie. They wanted him to be a little bit more violent.
Well,
Yeah,
course,
like Mike
they
Schreiber
wanted him
is
to be
saying,
like Batman.
same thing. Superman is unethical. Yes, in today's modern movies, he is, and that is not fucking Superman.
Right? He's sadistic. He's cynical. He doesn't even like to save anybody. He doesn't want to be. It's like he acts like that he's got better things to do than saving the world.
Well, it reflects the writers who write this stuff, right?
Yeah,
exactly.
They wanted Warner Brothers
Sociopaths.
wanted new 52 Superman.
And we have welcome Mike Schreiber. So if they didn't want to call him Superman, were they trying to walk with Superman then, or sex it, however you want to say it? I wish I knew, Mike. And Chris says hello there to Mike. But I just it blew my mind because after watching Man of Steel, first I was I have to say, first I was stunned. I still remember it's almost like a death of a family member unexpectedly. First I was stunned, then I was saddened, then I was angered. And I was thinking, all that money just so they can make Superman like Batman. Because that's what it's like. Warner Brothers was telling Snyder, just make it Batman. We made $1 billion on each of those, so make it Batman.
That's literally what they told him.
Yeah.
No two ways about it. They literally told him, we want Nolan's Batman, but with Superman.
Partial fault. I know Warner Brothers was partially at fault. I totally agree. Because obviously Snyder's is not going to get away with all this without the studio's permission, because they watch the dailies. We all know that there's too much money involved. As he's shooting the movie, they're going to be following along with what he's doing. So Man of Steel, for me, like I said, once again, I like Henry Cavill, but if he would have played Superman from the beginning, I probably would have a different opinion, and I'd probably say yes, and I would be in the same boat with everybody saying, what's going on, DC? Why are you firing him? But in my opinion, okay, I don't know James Gunn. I had no idea what he has in mind. I'm okay with. Well, I'm okay. Well, think about this. Is the reason why I brought this up. This is the whole reason why I brought this up. I know he said he's going to start with a younger Superman, but that doesn't mean young Superboy. So the reason why,
like early 20s Superboy.
Well, I'm no. What
was this old run where he was like college age, and
I'm guessing
if you want all this,
he hasn't said that. He hasn't said any of that. He just said he wants a younger Superman.
That's what he's thinking.
Well, let me finish if I can. Let me finish if I can. I think the reason why he's, in my opinion, I could be wrong. You may be right, but I think the reason why he's saying younger is that's hint for reboot. So I think what we're going to get is another. Because by the way, also, if any of you guys have seen Man of Steel, it was also crap because of the portrayal of the Kent family and the horrible portrayal by Kevin. What's his name as Jonathan Kent? I'm so upset I can't even remember. Right, I hated that so much. The mother, I hated the mother. I hated the father. I hated the whole opening. I hated the introduction of Superman. So, like I said, I don't know James Gunn. I don't know what he has in mind. I'm not clairvoyant, but I'm hoping he's going to just young means. I'm hoping we're going to see Clark Kent like we did at the beginning of Superman the movie is what I'm hoping. I'm hoping we're going to see him arrive on Earth, and we're going to have through a flashback scenes of him growing up. And we're going to spend a little time, and then I'm hoping it'll be him as his birth as Superman when he comes to Metropolis. So that's why I'm thinking, yes, he's going to be younger, but I don't think they're going to go as young as Superboy. So what I'm hoping is, but I could be wrong. I could be wrong.
Off of James Gunn's history and his proclivities, it's going to be like 20-ish, 20, 25-ish.
Well, I can tell you this: I'm not that huge of a fan of James Gunn. I mean, he was. Hold on, we got somebody else coming up here. Ooh,
Hey.
hey, Mike, welcome. How are you
How
doing,
you
there,
doing?
sir?
I'm doing
I am
well.
doing. I am doing fantastic. It's so good to see you. It's the first time you've been on my panel.
Yeah. I'm glad to join. I love Superman.
All right, then I got the right people here. This is just what I wanted. I was hoping to get other opinions because, like I said, I could be wrong. This is just my opinion.
Yeah.
But what I was thinking of, okay, is I can't say, look, go back and get Glenn Ford, can you, as Jonathan Kent? He was the perfect Jonathan Kent. I can't do that. But I think the Kent family, not only does Superman need to be rebooted, but I think the Kent family needs to be rebooted, and the whole of him arriving to Earth. I'm hoping if they have half a brain, what they're basically I'm hoping to do is a remake of Superman the movie, the first half of it. That's what I'm hoping for. It could be a Superboy thing, or a Smallville. I think is what you're thinking of, right? Resolute, probably like another Smallville,
something like that, but more along the lines of this. One of the Superboy comics.
Whoa.
Well, then they would just call it Superboy.
More of an angsty.
Well, wouldn't they just call it Superboy? I mean, that is a character in itself, right?
Yeah, it is, but he doesn't have the same punch as the headline name.
No, that's
People
true.
are going to go to see a movie called Superboy, but they might show up for Superman.
You can look it up online. I'm just curious. Have any of you ever read the original comic Superman?
Yes.
From what was it, Fantastic Tales or whatever back in the day?
Yeah, that's the one.
You can look it up, and there are guys that have posted this and read it. Read it. It's a damn good comic book.
Right, and that's the original where he didn't fly or any of that stuff in the originals. He was just leaping tall buildings and extra strong. That's the cover that I
it
listed
wasn't
in the
about
car on
flying.
the front.
He was just so strong that he could jump over anything.
And bulletproof. And we lost Mike. I hope you can come back, Mike. And I wanted to cover the chat real quick. Mike Schreiber says, hello, Chris. How are you? And Mike says he wasn't married to Lois Lane at that point in those movies, was he? No, they were planning on getting married. They didn't say that, but I think that's what they were planning. I could be wrong. But it looked like they were planning.
DC did a reprint when I was a kid of the original Superman story. And it's not worth anywhere near as much as the original, but it's still a valuable comic book. And I got to see the origin story way back then. I think it was like 74 or something like that.
And of course, it's famous now how Jerry Siegel and Joel Shuster were pretty much screwed over, and they only got paid pittance for that character.
Yeah, it's true. And the other one is, those are Canadians, eh? Superman was made in Canada.
No, one of them is.
Yeah, one. Sorry.
One's Canadian, the other is American.
And Chris says, didn't we used to want to be great like our superheroes? Who wants to be this guy? That's another thing. Thank you, Chris.
Yeah.
When I walked out of Superman the movie, I wanted to be Superman. After watching Man of Steel, I was like, what the hell is this? He needs to be in jail. So thank you, Chris.
That's why I don't bother going to movies anymore. There's not much I did.
Oh, I didn't see it at the theaters. Yeah, I didn't see it at the theaters.
Well, that's
the last movie I saw at the theaters was Avatar 2009. When I walked out, I said, I'm never going back to the theater again.
Yeah.
Chris, if we're going to talk about movies that the last movie I saw in theaters and actually enjoyed was Joker. But as I've watched it again a few times online and on DVD, I'm beginning to realize what a pile of crap it really is.
Well, now we're getting Joker 2, the musical. Can you imagine that with Lady Gaga?
Yay! That sounds great.
I know, right? Talk about
Joker's
a shitstorm.
Okay, it is, but you just have to realize it's not a DC film.
I think the reason why Joker made so much and was so popular is because it was a fresh air from the wokeness. I think that's the only reason why people saw it. It was like an anti-woke movie.
Yeah, that's about
it's not a huge, great movie. It's okay, but you just have to realize it's not DC. It's not.
It's really boring. It really drags on in long times, like where nothing fucking happens, and it. Okay, we get it. You set the guy up. You don't need to keep repeating this shit. Like, you could cut this movie down by half an hour easily.
And the
Oh, I
thing is,
totally agree.
he's such an unrelatable character. I mean, it's like I couldn't, feel anything for the guy. Like as a character, he was just
Same.
basically a jerk.
He
Yeah,
was.
You
He
know,
same
was.
here. You're a loser, man. Like, I'm sorry,
yeah,
but
he was a
you're the kind of guy I
self-absorbed,
would not like.
self-absorbed jerk, basically. Yeah.
Well, he's
Right.
psychotic.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
Well,
that
that was
too.
the point of the movie, right? But
Yeah.
it's hard
Yeah.
to center a movie where the the protagonist or the star of the movie is a bad guy and then still make it a likable movie. That's not easy to
Well, the
do, right?
surprising thing was how well it did at the box office. That's what surprised me. Kind
Um.
of says something about current
Yeah,
audiences, maybe.
Oh
I
yes, it
gotta
does.
be honest. The first time I saw it, I remember thinking to myself, Jesus, this is really dragging on. But when they finally got to the final scene on the talk show, I was like, okay, the payoff's worth every bit of it. Like you guys did a good job here.
Right, but unfortunately, we had to wait till the end to get to the payoff, right? I did like the payoff too, especially after all the horrible things that Robert De Niro's been saying. Oh, I laughed so hard when that scene happened.
Oh yeah, no, that was sweet. And the fact that they used his the name Murray, like Maury Povich, that was
Yep.
fucking awesome, man. Like
And Chris says, Mike, I'm okay. Icky day getting better now. Thank you. Hope you are warm. And Mike says, I had some connection problems. That's fine, Mike. Join us whenever you can. And Chris says, Pop, I haven't been to the cinema in at least 10 years. There we go. A man just like myself. Too expensive. And movies are just so awful. For me, when I said I walked out of Avatar saying I'll never return, it was because they were showing television commercials before the movies. That's unacceptable for me. I will not pay money to go somewhere and be forced to watch a television commercial. I'm not going
it's
to pay $20 to go in there and see the new Ford F100 or tonight on NBC. Count me out.
the other problem with the theater experience. Let's be honest here. I got what I'm pretty sure was out of date fucking Coca-Cola in my cup because it tasted weird and flat and like blech. And
No, that's
my
how Coke
popcorn was clearly
tastes all the time.
fucking days old and stale. And they just dumped a bunch of butter on it. And it's not even butter now. It's some kind of seed
Yes.
oil shit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
gotta
it
pay
makes me
extra
sick.
for real butter now.
Man, there's no reason to go to the theaters anymore. There just isn't. You guys have fucked up. You've ruined the experience.
And don't forget now in theaters, people can make noise and shout and complain and just be they can total assholes in a movie. And there's no more. They're allowed to stay. You are having a bad experience because somebody's disrupting the movie. They'll tell you, why don't you leave? We'll just give you a ticket to a free movie. Instead of kicking the assholes out. They won't kick out people anymore. And Mike says, when he put that semi-truck in the tree outside of the bar restaurant, that was funny, but it wasn't our normal Superman. Yeah, you're right about that. And Chris says, Mike, it happens to all of us. You mean in the back connection problems, Mike Schreiber says. And Chris says, yes, sir. Internet always messes up. Well, especially a lot of people are having problems in this weather with the storms. I agree that Joker was definitely a breath of fresh air from wokeness and intersectional feminism. But looking back, it wasn't as good as I thought it was. And Ola Greg, hail, Ola Greg. So good to see you. Glad you could join us. Euler says, hi, everyone. And Chris says that soda cost you $5. Now it's probably 10. Euler, and Chris Longfellow says, Ola Greg, hi there. And Euler says, I sneak in my Cokes and snacks. I used to, too. I had a big jacket that had these deep pockets, and I used to sneak everything in. But for me, I'm not a Coke fan. I'm a Pepsi fan, so I never like Coke anywhere. Coke always tastes to me like Pepsi.
I like RC Cola. Screw those other two.
Oh, the old RC Cola. My brother used to drink that. He would put peanuts in the bottle.
Yeah, man. If you haven't done that, you haven't lived.
I remember that a lot. That was like the 70s. And Mike Schreiber says, go to the dollar store, load your jacket pockets full of candy, and pop and snack in.
Okay,
Sneak it in. Yes, that is a good idea. I do the same thing. When I was in the military, I had this jacket I bought, and I removed the inner lining to where I could reach in one pocket and all the way around to the other pocket. So the whole interior of the jacket was empty. And I would load like a 12-pack of beers in there, and then me and a few friends would go in there and watch a movie. We
That's
were
a good one.
watching A Nightmare on. Okay, I still remember this. I was stationed at Travis Air Force Base in Fairfield, California. Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge was out. And we went to go see it. I was a big fan of the first one. I loaded my jackets up with beers. We're watching the movie, and there's a big storm and raining, and the power went out, and the movie stopped. And of course, the audience is like, boo, what's going on? It was dark in there. And then the manager would come down and say, sorry, the power's out. We'll get it back on in just a second. We have a generator. And then like 3 to 5 minutes later, the power would come on. The movie would continue. And we're like, okay, whatever. Everybody settled down. We started watching the movie. And then about 5 minutes later, the power goes out again. And so by that time, we said we'd had it. So we start tossing beer cans at the theater, at the screen. Empty ones. I'm not dumb. So we start tossing empty beer cans towards the screen. And I'll never forget, the lights came on. And as soon as the light came on, my hand was in up position and a can was leaving it. And you can see these cans en route to the screen. And they all crash and they hit the ground. And you can hear them, the noise. And the manager comes and says, people, please stop. He goes, no. He goes, please, I'm sorry. I'll give you guys refunds if you want. Needless to say, I got a refund, and I had to go back later and watch Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge. But I always liked that jacket. I could carry a whole bunch of stuff in there. I could carry like a 12-pack of beer, and I could carry candy and all that stuff at the same time. I was very proud.
Boy, sounds like quite the jacket.
I miss it. Oiler Greg says, I pick nearly empty theater and go to matinee showings cheap. Smart, man.
Yeah,
but that's where you get
not
the
a bad
loud
idea.
idiots, right? That's where you get the loud idiots, the kids, and all that.
Well,
Oiler
not if
Greg
it's a
says,
school day, maybe.
well, that's true.
Yeah,
Oiler
you
Greg
go
says,
during the week.
Yeah.
Oiler says, sometimes I'd bring beer. There you go. Mike Shriver says, I used to be a Pepsi-holic, but now I'm a Cokehead. Well, interesting. I've never heard of somebody changing before. And Chris
Oh,
says,
I know a lot of people who changed from Pepsi to Coke.
Pete, it's an RC. Now we're in the way back machine. By the way, I'm a chick. The 70s porn star name throws people off. Oh, very cool. So Chris is a chick. Chris, remember, keep that in mind, everybody. Chris is a she. Oiler Greg says, Coke. By the way, I'm not trying to misgender anybody. So I hope I was right there. Oiler Greg says, Coke means any cola in Texas, y'all would say pop. That's true. They call it Coke back then. I love when I go to restaurants and I place my order. I'll say I'll take this and this, and I'll take Pepsi. Oh, we have Coke. Is that okay? No, thanks. Just give me water. So yeah, no, I'd rather just drink water. Coke, like I said, to me, it tastes like flat Pepsi if you add vanilla to it. That's what Coke tastes like to me.
Yeah, it's
And
funny.
Mike,
I feel the same way about Pepsi. I just don't like it. To me, Pepsi tastes too lemony. It's got a lemony taste to me.
lemon, yeah,
But I guess it's different for everybody, right? Everybody's got different taste buds, I guess.
It's our taste buds, right?
Yeah.
Mike Schreiber says we should discuss the Nightmare on Elm Street series sometime. Oh, I would love to do a stream on that. There's an excellent YouTuber called Hungry Boy. He's hungry for. He's always changing his names. It's like hungry for this, hungry for that. And I've discussed with him wanting to do a horror review series. I'd like to start covering horror movies, but it's really hard to find somebody who's into that. I was good at Gorilla doesn't like gore, so I can't do it with Gorilla's Random
What do
Thoughts.
you mean?
And
I'm totally into fucking horror movies. Man, I've seen some of the craziest horror movies from the 80s you could ever dream of. Have you ever seen Mother's Day or The Burning?
Yeah, have you seen Microwave Massacre?
Yes.
Well, if you ever want to join me and become a co-panelist, we can do it if we can ever.
Oh yeah, dude! I know my old gore fest movies. I really do.
Yeah, the more gore, the better.
For that, man.
And I must say, practical effects, practical gore.
And yeah, they were practical effects.
CGI
the best
garbage.
practical effects ever laid down. Period. And gory and gross. The Thing. John Carpenter's The Thing.
Yeah, I saw that twice at the theaters. I'm not only did I see it once, I saw it twice. I loved it. I took a date on it, and she liked it.
The thing is, it still holds up better than the CGI crap they're putting out these days.
And better than other horror movies these days. Better than any horror movie still. Every horror movie now, when you think about it, I mean, okay.
My favorite scene is where the head grows spider legs and rocks across the floor, and Buddy's like, "You gotta be fucking kidding me!"
Yes. It was so mind blowing.
It was.
And Mike, let's see. Oil Greg says theaters are mostly empty nowadays where I go. Mike says Coke has a higher sugar content, I believe, and that is one reason I switched. Oh, okay.
Mm.
But yeah,
More sugar, more caffeine, and I think more calories too.
well, if it has more sugar, it probably has more
So
calories.
it's better all the way around.
And Chris says, "Oh,
Now-
hungry's a delight. What a fun dude, Pop. I'm 54. There's no misgender BS here, friend. We're too old for that nonsense. Thank you, Chris, and I agree.
I'm with you,
Ooh,
Chris.
and we
I'm
have
very
Mike back with us.
listen, I know.
Hey
what
guys,
I-
let's try this again, shall we?
Hey, oh, sir, good to see you back again.
Yeah.
Mike.
Hey, I would love to be on a horror panel. I grew up in the '80s.
Okay, so all right, then how about this, you guys? I'm going to create a stream just review horror movies, and to pull people in, let's kick it off with the Evil Dead movies. What do you think?
I don't think I've seen Evil Dead.
Yeah,
Oh my
Evil
God.
Dead. The 3 Evil
Well,
Dead.
That's
The three
something I
original
can
ones
talk
are
to.
great.
I know the Evil Dead series.
That's what I'm talking
Yeah.
about. The originals.
Yeah, Bruce Campbell's great in
The
those.
reality is, come on, man. Those movies are imitations of earlier flicks that were done in the late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah,
Well, they
yeah.
are-
The Gore
Sleepaway
Fest
Camp,
began
that was a
with,
good one.
you know, you gotta look at some of those other more. There's a whole bunch of them that are really underground that a lot of people don't know about.
Absolutely. I used to collect the VHSs of those movies you're talking about. And when remember how a lot of those were hitting the shelves when VHS was big back in the day?
Oh yeah.
And I agree. I'm talking about the original Evil Deads. I'm not talking about the remakes or this new one that's coming out.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about too.
From 2007 to 2010, I ran a movie gallery store as store manager in Michigan.
Oh, really?
So I've got a pretty vast knowledge of movies.
Well, then maybe you guys can join me, though, if I create a stream. Huh? We'll do like a horror stream and we review movies every
I'd
week.
be in.
I'd
I
be
have
in.
seriously,
Depending on
guys.
the movie.
They're stored right now with my children because I live way away from where my collection used to be. But I had over 10,000 VHS cassettes.
Jeez.
And some of the rarest shit you've ever seen. I had it all. And I also collected a ton of DVDs and Blu-rays. And, you know, I know my movies. I really do. My cutoff, though, is, like I said, right around the time that they made the first Disney Star Wars thing. I actually watched that. I paid money to see it. And I was so disappointed that it really ruined it for me. I've never really recovered. I'm done. It's over. It's all crap nowadays.
Oh, I agree with that. I agree. What was the name of that first Star Wars movie, the Disney Star Wars movie again?
Force Awakens.
Thank you.
Was that it? It's forgettable.
It might have
It's
been.
completely forgettable because it's such a piece of shit. It's basically The New Hope redone with a girl. Only this time, she doesn't take any training. She doesn't learn shit. She just suddenly magically has these powers.
Yeah.
Oh, of course she does. That's what Mary Sue's
Yeah,
have. That's why they're there,
Yeah,
right?
Mary Sue
Just
Powers.
get bent. That was garbage.
Thank you. I'm going to bring that up real quick so we can talk about it. Let's see
Anyway,
here.
I got to head out, guys. So we'll see you all later.
Well, thank you for joining us for a while, PvP. I
Yeah,
appreciate
just
it.
had to pop in for a bit. Okay.
All right. Well, thank you. You take care.
Yeah, you too. See you soon.
Bye-bye. Let me try and make this a little bit bigger. There we go. Okay, here we are, The Force Awakens. You guys recognize this poster, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Clearly the
they
American
killed Han
one because
Solo. That was
Chinese
it. I
one-
nearly got up out of the
That
theater
one.
and walked out. I really did. I
Right.
was like,
What I
you
want to
gotta be fucking kidding me.
what I want to cover is, okay, the movie poster came out before the movie, obviously, before the movie was released. And I was working at the time as a copy machine repairman. And I was working at this place. We were in the warehouse with all the guys. They were also big Star Wars fans. And they were all excited. Oh, wow, this is going to be the greatest thing ever. We're going to have Star Wars, but it's going to have a big budget. It's going to be modern. It's going to have the original cast. And then this poster came out. And I showed this poster to them. I said,
Well-
take a look at that poster. I said, who is going to be the star of that movie? And they said, well, look, there's Han Solo and there's Leia behind him. And look, there's Ewoks. I said, no, the star of the movie is going to be that girl who is front and center. I said, what
That
we're going to
was
get. And my quote back then
action
was,
poster. The first posters was
well,
Kylo
all the posters.
and
Well,
Luke.
when
This
I
was
saw
the one that came out in
this-
the last 3 to 6 months.
okay, when
They
I
were
saw this
pushing
poster,
one with Kylo and Luke for maybe a year and a half before the movie came out.
I don't remember if I've seen that one. I may have. But when I saw this one, I still remember what I told them. I said, what you're going to get here is Disney's Princess in Space Star Wars flavored. And I remember all the guys, no, it's going to be Star Wars. I remember it was a big argument. And I was the only one in the camp saying, no, it's not. Luke is going to be front and center. I said, the original cast, I said, you'll look if you get them in cameos. Oh, no, it's not. They'd never do that. Well, here we are, 10 years later?
Just
So-
over, yeah.
Yeah,
it's the worst.
And
It's
what
the
I
worst
said
of
was
the
true,
worst.
right? Right, we got Disney's Mary Sue in space. That's the only thing I was wrong about. No, it wasn't Disney's Princess in space. It was Disney's Mary Sue in space. That's the only thing I was wrong about. Oh, I loathed that movie. By the way, I hated it. Okay, so here, let me go back to where I was. Let me try to add another picture in here. There we go. Forgive me for the watermarks. This original Kent family, of course.
Brando. Before he got too fat to fit in anything.
But unfortunately, he was conceited, though. Unfortunately, that ego of his just. In fact, I was reading an interview recently with Rich. It was an. Hold on, we got Mike back. Welcome again, Mike. Welcome back.
Hey, let's try this again, shall we?
There we go. Let's try this again. I was reading interviews that were talking about Brando on the set of the Superman movie, and first of all, as we all know, he demanded an enormous sum of money just to play the very small part. But what the point of the interview was, they were saying that they were upset because Brando was paid so much money, and he thought at that point that people were going to pay to see him no matter what he did. So they thought that he put no effort into the role itself, that he was pretty much just reading his lines. And I can kind of agree with that.
There were papers at the time during the filming. I remember watching. I used to actually pay attention to Hollywood, because I love movies when I was a kid.
Right.
And there were people saying that this man was showing up drunk to set often. Like they could barely get a scene out of him because he was a mess. And yet he still had all these demands.
Yeah. Oh, yes, exactly. Right. He thought himself as some sort of pariah. So I almost think that they should not have hired him when they said, oh, this guy, they should have said, this guy's going to be a pain. Maybe we should recast. But they wanted that name to draw in those crowds. And Chris says, Ola Greg, do kids even go to the cinema anymore? And Mike says, here's my email address. I'm interested in the horror movie panel. You guys email me. Mike, StreamYards will not let us post email addresses. So when you posted it, it didn't show up. Only your comment did. Do you have Twitter, Mike?
Yes, I do have. No, I don't have Twitter. Maybe I do. If I do, I haven't used it in forever. Can I put it in the comments? Private comments chat?
Yes,
Okay.
Yes, you can.
Let's do that.
And that way I will keep you up to date, because if I can find a panel like you guys, I'd be all set. I've been trying to create one for like I said, like a year.
I got to bring it up. If you guys want to talk Brando, have you all ever seen the movie Last Tango in Paris?
Oh yeah,
I
would
haven't.
say definitely controversial, right?
I'll say it's controversial.
Okay, so I'm putting in your email address into my address book, Mike.
Okay, cool. Do it. You know, right now I'm hearing the conversation from us from like 5 minutes ago. It's coming through my microphone, but I can still hear you like current.
Okay. Yeah, sometimes StreamYard can be a pain in the neck.
Oh yeah.
There we go. Okay, got that in my email. And okay, I'll be sending you an email shortly as a confirmation, so you know my email address. So we can keep in touch.
Okay. Awesome. Do so.
Oda Greg says, good question, Chris. And Mike says, is that the poster where they took Finn and minimized him in China? Yes, it was. Minimize or
ridiculous.
disappear.
That is
I
every
think.
poster.
Right. And Chris Longfellow says, Mike, we own fanboys and watch when we want to remember how wonderful Star Wars once was. I totally agree. I saw the original movie 9 times. And as a kid, I was like, what, 10 or I had a Milans to do that. I was so in love with that first movie. I was doing everything I could to make any penny I could to go see it over and over and over. My family thought I was
cried at the end of Fanboys.
When you guys want to talk about movies I seen multiple times. In 1977, Star Wars hit my small town, and the theater there kept it up for like, oh my God, 6 months.
It was up for a year where I lived.
I'm serious. I saw it easily 36 times. I remember that being the count. I was blown away every time I saw it. Like it was like nothing.
I've seen Star Trek First Contact 3 times in the theater.
Oh, that's interesting.
That was my favorite Trek movie of all time. Still is.
Yeah, I love Star Trek 1. I caught that one in the theaters too and saw it 2 or 3 times.
Wait, I think we're talking about 2 different movies, right? Star Trek 1.
Star Trek First Contact was my favorite.
Oh,
right. He's talking about the TNG cast, right?
For me, it was
With the Borg.
Star Trek the movie in what 78.
Yeah,
79?
I'm with you. I'm not a fan of the TNG cast, and I
really
not only okay, that's a wholly different story. I didn't like TNG because it was basically a soap opera with a bunch of subplots, talking heads.
I love every Star Trek iteration except for Discovery and Picard season 1.
I think we can all agree with current Trek.
Deep Space Nine was nothing but a soap opera in space. Prove me wrong.
It was the dark side of the Federation.
People keep defending it. I know there's a lot of people that love DS9, and when I talk about it, they get upset with me. But you're right, I'm not a fan either. I thought it was boring. I didn't like the makeup. I mean, and by the way, I didn't like that they don't travel, they don't explore. There's no exploring.
Wait, hold on. You didn't like the Dominion War arc?
I didn't get that far. I never got through the first episode completely.
Oh man, you need to go back and watch.
The same with Picard season 1 episode.
I lasted
a
few weeks, and then I quit watching. I'm like, this is garbage. I'm out of here.
I enjoyed it.
It's like what happened was by the time the 80s came along, they were hiring soap opera writers, and that's why we started seeing more subplots, and we started seeing season-long arches, is what they call them, and that's what they like to call them because that sounds fancy. In reality,
you know what scares me?
They don't have that mentality. Or
when we talk about the original series, what's frightening is how many young people actually haven't seen it.
Yes. Well, because the sad thing is you can ask them that haven't seen it. Why haven't you seen it? Oh, I hear that Kirk's a womanizer. I hear all it is about Kirk banging all these chicks. Well, because they've been told stupid things by people who've never seen it before.
Yeah, like. Come on, you guys. If you want to be all woke and stuff, the first interracial kiss ever on television was Star Trek.
Mm-hmm. Uhura and Kirk.
Right. In fact, they didn't want to show that episode in the deep south of USA because they knew they would.
It's some channels actually banned it from being shown. That's fact.
Yeah. That's because they're a bunch of racist pigs.
I agree. They are racist.
No, they banned it up here. And I'm in extraordinarily liberal Washington.
My favorite one is when Kirk's putting his boots on. It's clear what's just happened. The chick's fixing her hair and Kirk's putting his boots on.
That's the most they were allowed to show back then. That's the most.
Good old Captain Kirk.
I'll say this about Deep Space Nine. At least that's when they started using computer models for the ships, and we got to see big fleet battles. That really excited me.
Well, that's good. I wish I would have
really
liked it. I guess
the Deep Space Nine movie. What was it called? Where
the
Borg are attacking. And Picard already knows it because he's been fucked.
Star Trek First Contact. That's my favorite Star Trek movie of all time.
That one's great. that's a good movie,
Yeah,
man. I could watch that many
That's the
times.
only
That's a
good
good
one
Yeah.
that they made
I've
for
seen it 3
TNG.
times in the theater. I actually had nightmares over First Contact. I'm not kidding. I'm almost
Oh
48
yeah,
years
man,
old.
that's spooky shit.
It
really is.
To have your individuality stolen from you with no control over your own self, that is absolutely frightening to me.
Check out Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Oh, I've seen it, the original and the remake. Yeah, that's creepy stuff.
Remakes plural form. There's been a few of them, yes.
Well,
Yeah,
true,
there's actually
true.
been a couple of them.
Right. Disregard the Nicole Kidman one. She's box office poison. But I definitely recommend the 1978 version with Donald Sutherland and Leonard Nimoy. And
At the very end of it, when that guy opens his mouth, yeah.
Yes, and the 90s version with Meg Tilly. That was a good one, too. Early 90s, that is. Brando was a real odd duck. Quack, quack, says Chris. And Oiler Greg says, modern political agendas destroyed Star Wars and most popular franchises. Independent films and horror are less affected. I disagree with horror. Also, streaming services have some good content as well as bad. That is true.
Oh,
horror,
guys,
I want to mention. Go ahead.
Did you watch 1899?
Well, the only thing that's changed in horror movies over the years with wokeness is now black people are the last to die instead of the first.
Yeah, it used to be you got one black person and 3 or 4 white guys. Now it's switched. And that, whatever, that's fine. I'm not prejudiced. I just got used to one system. And now they have completely changed it.
Well, remember now, that did happen in the original Night of the Living Dead and the remake in 91.
We could write a horror movie. We could. If we all sat down and spent some time and someone fucking recorded everything we said and then typed it up, I'm pretty sure we could come up with
now they're using AI to make movies. Did you hear about that?
Oh, hell yeah.
Of course, yes.
Yeah.
We could totally make it ourselves.
They're already using AIs to write scripts. But here's my question. Here's where I disagree. Well, Greg, I love you, but I disagree about horror films. I think woke has definitely permeated horror films. And here's my example, in my opinion. Guys, when was the last time you saw a really good horror movie with a strong male character who's not a bad guy?
Oh, you just don't see that anymore.
I'll let you know.
That's what I'm saying. Woke. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Well, every
Evil
movie
Dead,
comes out now.
Ash,
No,
that's
no,
not it.
No, I said since woke
That
permeated.
is
I'm
more
saying
comedy
recently.
than horror.
Right. The first
Even
one was a straight up
the
horror.
first
The
two.
second one was a comedy. The first one was a
You
horror,
didn't
not
see
a comedy.
the comedy in the first one?
It was not like the Evil Dead 2. They were night and day. But my point is, every horror movie now, and I'm saying 9 out of 10, is the woman who's strong, the men are weak and stupid. It's typical woke. And the movie centers around 5 or 6 women, maybe 1 or 2 men. The men in the background, and they're idiots.
And an 80-pound woman tosses a 300-pound man like he's nothing.
Oh, that's every movie now, right? Doesn't matter if it's horror, or sci-fi, or right.
Oh, it's everything. Yeah, it makes
Terminator
no sense.
Dark Fate, right? It's a perfect example. Terminator Dark Fate, you got a 5'1" woman kicking butt.
Yeah, that was an intersectional feminist nightmare.
Oh God, yes. And that unfortunately has only gotten worse. We are going to stand at
let's
the
be
side.
honest, it's teaching our little girls some pretty dangerous shit.
It is.
Well, you think you're going to kick that big guy's ass? You fucking better smarten up. You're going to get your skull broken.
Well, it's part of the lesson. What they're putting across and teaching the young ones now is you don't need no men because they're trying to reduce the population. That's why they made, like in Terminator Dark Fate, they even demonized women in that, and they told her they only wanted her womb and not the woman.
No, it's
so they're
true.
demonizing motherhood and femininity now.
Yeah, no,
they want.
And not only that, but I probably should get into this on your channel, but
yeah, so
there's
much
going
for
to be a
Superman
sterilization program that is already happening.
Right. Yep.
Go take your boosters.
They're making people believe lies rather than truth about reality.
Right. And they're telling us don't even believe the scientists and don't believe everything you've ever been taught, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
right.
screw your immune system. I caught COVID. I totally fucking
Let's all-
got over
right.
it. You know,
Let's-
it was a bad
right.
flu for about 5
I had
days.
COVID 3 times. I'm fine.
Right, but what they're telling us is, everybody, you got to trust Bill Gates. He's got a lot of money invested in this drug program, you know,
I'll forget Bill
and the
Gates.
medical and all the experiments he's been doing on the Africans for all these years. And Scully says, lucky to get him to show up on the set with the pants on. And Chris says, everyone drank back then. Oh, absolutely. And smoked. Order Greg says, cheers, Chris. And Chris says, Scully, are you warm? I worry. And Scogli says, oh, I'm in heaven. It's only -8 Celsius. I'm walking around in a light jacket for real. Nice, Scogli.
-8 Celsius. It's here in northern BC, boys and girls. It's a brisk -25 Celsius.
That does sound cold. And Scogli says 12.7 Celsius here. Going to drop more. That's full on winter for Florida. All you wonderful Canadians need to visit someday. And Scogli says, I never watched DS9 back in the day for similar reasons, but I went back and binged it 3 years ago and loved it. First season was pretty rocky. I have heard that.
You have to get past the first 2 seasons of Deep Space Nine. Same thing with Star Trek: The Next Generation before it really gets good. I am telling you, I love Deep Space.
That brings up another topic. Thank you for reminding me. Anybody who has seen Star Trek, the original series, they hit the ground running. You don't have to wait till the 2nd or 3rd season before it got good because they have talented people writing. Anytime you have a show, I don't care what it is, where people tell you, oh, after the 2nd, 3rd, 4th season, it'll finally get good. That is what I call shit.
Well,
they should have been canceled during the first season if it's no good.
TNG is trash. They're lying to you. It is the most like the original series than any of the rest of Star Trek.
Even the people that like TNG agreed there was some really, really bad episodes during season 1.
Well, Rick Berman kind of kept Gene Roddenberry's vision alive, but Gene Roddenberry's vision of Star Trek, I don't think TNG would have lasted, because Gene Roddenberry was alive and did a lot of the... He was fairly involved with the first few seasons.
Listen,
and I think his influence would have sunk.
My 2 cents worth in. I liked TNG. Okay, I watched
Q is awesome.
Q is Kazoo from the Flintstones.
Yes, and he's what's his face from the original series.
You're right. It's the Great Kazoo.
Yes, you're right.
Which is why I don't like Q. I don't like. For me, science fiction, science, and magic do not mix. So I do not like Q.
Well, it's science fantasy.
I mean, it's like taking Star Trek and saying, "What do we make like Bewitched?" I mean, that'd be fun. No thanks. Scully says, "Oh, see, right now."
Well, you're basically giving Q godlike powers. When I say God, I mean the God, Allah, or
well, he's no Jesus Christ,
or whatever you want to call it. And that was, I got to admit, that was pretty ridiculous. It was.
Yes, in my opinion, yes.
What about the guy from the original?
And not realistic.
Tulane? He was like Tulane.
But remember, he had his powers came from a mechanical device.
That is true.
That's right.
There were similarities, kind of.
And that was, by the way, guys, that was Liberace. And
yeah, his performance, absolutely. He did better as a Klingon,
he played Liberace anyway. And yeah, man, he came off as a total jerk. But the reality is the device was behind the mirror the whole time. He didn't have the powers. It had been something that he had created.
Which grounded the episode in reality.
Q's case is some kind of god.
Well, they're an omnipotent
being that can do whatever the fuck it wants. He's actually more like Loki because he's not using what he does for good. He's an asshole.
And that comes back to bite him in 1 or 2 occasions.
Well, it doesn't matter. I heard in Picard they killed him off anyway, so there. Chris Longfellow says, no offense, but I think that was a horrible decision. Picard is treating everybody like crap. Don't you love how
Picard's dead too?
Right? Don't you love how the TNG cast was so desperate they signed on for this shit pile?
Now I have hope for the 3rd season of Picard, though.
I have
high hopes.
Okay.
The only reason they came back is because Paramount took out a loan and drove a dump truck full of money up to each of them.
Well, that's fine with me. I don't care about that money part. I just want good Star Trek again.
You're not going to get it.
Oh, you think
have
they're going
high
to
hopes.
suddenly out of nowhere start writing good Star Trek with the same
Well, I
producers,
think
the same directors?
my
and all
hope
that?
is that they looked at the first 2 seasons of Picard, especially the first season, and decided to throw the woke away, decided to throw the intersectional feminism away. That's my hope. Terry Matalas, I don't know much about him, but according to what they're saying, he's getting on track for Star Trek. So let's just hope.
Let's just say he was the guy doing all the legwork in season 2. Just take that into mind. He's already been on Picard, but wasn't in charge, but he is the guy doing the legwork.
Yeah. Yeah, and who's going to be the father or the mother of Picard's son? Is it going to be Crusher? And is he going to end up taking over Picard's place as a captain? And they're going to run a whole new series of Star Trek with 7 of 9 as the first officer and Picard's son as the captain.
Are you talking about Paisley Crusher?
Well, no, because in the new season of Picard has a son. They casted somebody to play Picard's son.
Oh God! So
not
wait,
his son from the Inner Light. Which, by the way, that guy that played his son in the Inner Light episode was his actual Picard's Patrick Stewart's son.
But you're saying they're retroactively adding a son out of nowhere, right?
They are. Yes, they are.
Oh,
that is
I'm not
confirmed. Look it
surprised.
up.
Well, let me ask you this: if you guys think that there's so much hope for the 3rd season, then why are they saying exact quote? This is going to be the best ever, but it is going to be our last.
Okay, but the actors, even Patrick Stewart said, I wouldn't mind doing another movie.
No, I'm saying
listen,
if they have so much
in the dark, but maybe it'll be
if they have so much faith in the series, why are they doubling down on it being the last? I mean, wouldn't they think if this does well, we're going to have another season? But they're not. They're saying this is definitely the last.
Well, they want the TNG cast to go out with a bang.
Oh well,
this is on my home, guys.
All survive.
Considering Alex Kurtzman is behind
Patrick
the whole
Stewart
thing, we'll see.
Will not survive for a season 4 or a movie.
We'll see, and I might have to eat crow, but so far to me, it looks like it's going to be good.
Isn't it funny how William Shatner's older than Captain, than whatever his
Patrick
name is?
Stewart?
And he can run, yes, and he can run circles around. William Shatner could still kick his ass, even though he's older. That's the only reason why they brought him into that horrible Generations movie.
Yeah. Oh, Generations was bad. Oh man.
Right, basically, Picard telling Kirk, "I don't know how to fight. Can you come and fight the bad guy for me?"
Yeah, Generations is a detestable movie. It was bad.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of Picard, the character. I always saw him as a insecure coward. He can't make any decisions on his own. Every time anything happens, he's got to get therapy before he can make a decision. And I prefer Captain Kirk because he's confident and strong. He knows what to do. He's a diplomat, and he's also a fighter, and he's not afraid to get his hand dirty. I know a lot of people disagree with me. That's fine.
Yeah,
that's good. In fact,
Picard
it's fun
just
to
came
have a
off
disagreement once in a while.
Extremely English.
I'll put it this way. Anti-Derivative Jill and I just covered Shore Leave the other day on her channel. And the fight that Captain Kirk had with Finnegan. Have you ever seen Picard even do anything close to that? I mean, come on.
Yes.
Okay, but Picard was more of a
I remember
negotiator.
the Finnegan fight. That was a gooder.
Yeah.
Right,
He actually gets his ass
Look up
kicked.
when Picard got his heart skewered by a Nausicaan.
Wait. Are you talking about the episode where he was wearing the hood to cover the stuntman?
No,
Because there was the episode. I don't remember, but I did watch TNG when it was broadcasting. I watched every single episode. I have not watched them again because they're not. I don't like them enough.
I've seen each of them probably 100 times.
Okay, well, there was the episode where
Menagerie.
Kirk
I'm pretty sure it's Menagerie.
There was an episode where Kirk had to go to Worf's planet to fight for him. I don't know what it was for. And
you mean Picard?
Oh, Picard.
Yeah.
Sorry, yes. Picard had to go to Worf's planet to fight for him for some reason. I don't remember. But I remember my friend and I, we were big Star Trek fans at the time.
They're trying to ruin Worf's family's name.
Right, but what we were doing is my friend and I were watching the episode live, and we were saying, there's no way they're going to show Picard fighting. No way that sissy's going to fight. No way. And then I said, watch. He's going to have like a robe or a hood or something on, and that way it's easy to cover up the stuntman. And lo and behold, what did we get?
Yeah, Picard was Worf's Chadich in the council, to the Klingon High Council. He was called Chadich. Basically, I think that really was like a representative for Worf, a friend that was going to be there during the situation.
Yeah, he was his second.
Chris says, when did men become bad guys? We need men. How many women climb power lines? Iron workers, yes, there are a few, but not many. How many women do you see pumping the sewers and all that, right? How many women do you see like building the streets outside and building buildings, right?
Okay, I will say this about women. I will say this. During the Second World War, women went into those factories. Why the men
Rosie
went
the
to
Riveter.
war. Rosie
Yes,
the
they
Riveter,
did.
exactly.
But it's like,
But,
I see construction every day. You know, you drive through your city and you see where they have roads closed for construction. And the only women I see are the ones holding the signs up that say, please slow down, please stop. And I'm thinking, I want that job. Because they're making the same as that guy up on the scaffold who's risking his life from falling, who's carrying all those bricks up there, and she's making the same amount because of their union. So I want the job of holding the slow sign.
Historically, look at women.
No offense to women. No offense to women.
After the Second World War, women never took their pants off when they went back home. Before the Second World War, they were more feminine. They were more like a woman. They wore skirts. They dressed like a woman. After the war, though, after they were in the factories, they got empowered, and they felt that empowerment, and they never went back to being feminine, at least most of them.
Well, that was part of the feminist
for about a generation.
movement.
Then the 60s happened.
And by the way, I'm not trying to insult any women out there. I hope I'm not hurting anybody's feelings. If you're listening, Chris, I hope you didn't leave us. I love women, so I just wanted to make that clear. I don't want anybody to hate my channel or strike me.
No, we need women in society, and not just to make babies, and not just to sleep with. Women are to help us raise our children and be
mothers.
Real with our children. Yes, we need that mothers, just like our kids. I'm a 48-year-old man. I'm raising my 14-year-old on my own.
No, I told you. Chris says, I'm not a feminist. Open my door for me. Please mow the lawn. I'll cook and clean. I enjoy tradition.
Yeah, when I go on a date, I open the door for that woman.
I like mowing the lawn. I
mow my lawn. Yeah, I love to mow lawns.
Oh, yeah, I'll tell you this. I live in California. You open a door for a woman, and you're going to get this. Who do you think you are?
Right. Well, guess what? I'm not changing that. I'm still going to treat a woman with respect, with dignity, compassion, and love.
Well, I'm not changing that. Now in California, they're making that illegal now. Guess what? If you say, hello, ma'am, how are you doing? Oh, my God, that's sexual harassment now because you're misgendering.
In California, they're wanting to make it so a man can sleep with a young girl and vice versa, and they're going to make it into law.
Yes.
You guys,
a man with a boy, right, but hold on, guys. We don't want to get my channel stricken.
So I was going to say some nice, easy stuff. I learned how to fix furnaces. I learned how to fix hot water tanks. I have become one of the most useful guys you've ever seen in your life.
You're a handyman.
Yeah. I can fix.
But if you get called that, you could sue somebody because they said man.
Oh, you can't even say manhole. Right.
I guess you're right.
You can't even say manhole here in California. They're not manholes anymore. It's a person hole. Can you believe that?
No, they're just holes.
Yeah, that's what happens when we let the radical dictate the future.
Well, you got the far left liberals trying to control and change everything.
Right, and the hardest thing that they have to tackle is the center states who are more moderate, and that's why they're all heading that direction. That's why you see them leaving California, Oregon, Chicago. Illinois, New York, the conservative states, because they want to change that.
Yeah, well, I live in a blue state.
Mark my words. Right, but mark my words, guys. Next thing you're going to hear is they're banning guns in Texas. Just watch.
They're not going to take our Second Amendment. Did you know there's like 110 guns for every?
They did it. They've already done it in several states. They can do it. They own the courts. Come on, we all know that.
Yeah, but in Texas, they will shoot you back.
Well, they do that now. Guns, you'll see.
And all my exes live in Texas. The only way
they're going to be able to physically do it is if they send the military in. And honestly, most of the rank and file military, they're gun owners too. So not too keen on abandoning the Second Amendment.
You'll see they're very successful. They've done it to several states, and Texas is just another one. The first thing they did when they got there is they opened up the border. So you'll see it's California 2 is what we're getting. You'll see, mark my words. I'm very confident about that. Unfortunately, I wish I was wrong, but
A lot of those illegals are more conservative than I am.
the illegals? Oh no,
Yeah.
the illegals are going to vote Democrat because the Democrats are throwing money at them.
No, they don't vote.
That's why they're allowing them to vote now.
illegals-
Why do you think that's why the Democrats are challenging the voting system? They want everyone to be able to vote even without ID or citizenship.
Oh yeah, all the
Yeah, that's
Mexicans and people coming across.
California.
No,
They can't
they're
do
doing
that
that
nationwide.
No, nationwide.
And
Yes,
if
they are.
do that nationwide,
It's
if
down-
they even do vote, they
Haven't
are
you heard
very conservative Catholic.
Yeah, but what I'm
Just
saying is,
you
haven't you
worried
heard what's
about
going?
getting strikes on your channel says they're taking away our freedom of speech.
Yeah, right. But I'm saying, didn't you watch what happened to Georgia? What it is now is they're taking over state by state. So, like for example, in California, they're allowed to vote without having ID or citizenship, but they haven't not yet in the other states. But they're taking over state by state by state. Is my point.
Right, I get your point. Yeah.
Because you see the senators and Nancy Pelosi. That's exactly their whole goal. That's the end goal. End game
Oh,
for
Nancy
them.
Pelosi's retiring, but then you got to put up with AOC.
Well, she's retiring
Well,
because the news
guys,
got out about her husband hiring Johns, right?
What's about to come out of Arizona with Carrie Lake's lawsuit? This is going to be huge. You're going to see something you've never seen before.
I certainly hope so.
Well, that's what people thought when Elon Musk released the Twitter files. But remember, they own the courts. Keep that in mind. They own the courts. They own the judges. They own the whole system.
Sounds like
Don't
the
forget
Empire.
that. They own the FBI, and we've seen that. They own the censorship. They own all political. They own the press. They own social media. Think about it.
It's true.
The odds are
Sadly,
stacked
true.
up against us. The odds are already stacked up against us. It's a no-win
Well,
situation.
Listen,
not
guys,
getting.
I'm going to bow out because my buddy Pete at Creepy Little Book is about to stream, and I want to catch.
Sorry about that. Well, thank you for stopping by and visiting with us. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you very much for having me here. I appreciate
Yeah,
it.
nice to talk with you.
Are you on Twitter?
Good to meet you.
No. Shit, no.
Can you put in the private chat your email, and I'll send you an email. The reason why is like with Mike. That way I can let you know if I can put a stream together for horror movies. Or unless you tune into my stream every week, my Gilligan's Island or my Star Trek.
I got your
can
bell
see your
rang.
movie.
You know, I know when you're on. Don't worry
All right,
about it.
cool.
Be there.
All right, dude. I appreciate it. Then I will see you, and you stay safe in this weather.
Yes, you too. Take care, guys.
Bye-bye.
Take care. So how many people
Hello?
are we down to now? I didn't even look.
Three.
Three?
We're down to three people.
Because
And-
right now, at this moment, I'm hearing our chat from 10 minutes ago with our talk right now.
I apologize. You're hearing double talk.
Yes. It's not your fault.
Try closing or muting your YouTube stream.
Oh, okay. Let me try that. Hold on. Give me a minute. What did I do with my phone?
Right, because you have two streams running. You have YouTube and you have StreamYards. Mute the YouTube one.
You're absolutely right about that. That's excuse me, kitty. I got two kittens and I step on them on a daily basis.
I have
Okay, hold
dogs.
on here.
It's fine. I understand.
Yeah. So I need to mute something.
Or stop it. Mute or stop. But if you silence YouTube, that
Yeah.
will help. By the way, I want to shout out Margot Kidder for me embodied Lois. She was tough and smart. She put her life in danger, and she was beautiful. And I don't think that they've been able to recast anybody better than her either. I think Christopher Reeve was the best Superman and Clark Kent. And I just absolutely love Margot Kidder.
Yeah, I
Lois
think
Lane,
I
have to
fixed
say. All right, then. Hopefully it'll sound better.
Yeah, I think it is. What I did is I went on YouTube and hit mute or pause.
There you go. That'll help.
So anyway, we can't really talk about too much politics, or you'll get a strike, right?
Yeah, I'm surprised I haven't been stricken already for what we've been saying. It's sad we're not allowed to talk about reality.
It's a First Amendment violation.
It is, but they don't care. I mean, they own the courts. Challenge them. That's what they say. Challenge us. We dare you. We've got an old stream of lawyers, right? Chris says, we all had our new hope once. How'd that work out? Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Chris. And Chris also says, hey, yeah, don't get me wrong. I'm retired from the funeral biz. Prep room, picking up people. I'm a big girl. I would love to talk about that sometime, Chris. Pop, get the hell out of California. Florida is fun. Chris, I have been considering moving to Florida, actually. I even have a friend out there. So, and I was telling another friend here in California, I'm heavily considering it. I think that's going to be our little island in the middle of the Pacific Ocean for anybody who's conservative and not a groomer without getting stricken. But it's probably too late for that. But as I was saying, I love Margot Kidder as Lois Lane. By the way, and I'm an old-fashioned Superman fan, so I remember Noelle Neal as Lois Lane, and she was fantastic as well, along with Phyllis Coates for her. So we had my favorite Lois Lanes were Phyllis Coates, and then Noelle Neal, and then Margot Kidder. And Margot Kidder was the best out of the three. And in my opinion, I don't like the ones they recast with. I didn't like the one in Superman Returns. And I disliked the one in the Snyderverse more than any of them. I missed good, wholesome Lois Lane and Clark Kent. Sorry, guys, talking about Superman.
I was never a fan of Lois Lane in any interpretation of Superman.
Okay, would you say you weren't a fan of the actresses or the character?
The character.
Oh, okay. Well, unfortunately, we have to get Lois Lane because she was a comic book, right? And she was in the comic book. Here, let me put up another one here. Hopefully this one. There we go. That right there, in my opinion, is the best Clark Kent. That's why just that look on his face is unmatched. Henry Cavill, he's a great actor. He's a handsome man, I agree. But he is not Clark Kent. Henry Cavill, he for me, when Christopher Reeve played Clark Kent, was a completely different character from when he played Superman. All he had to do was put those glasses on, and he became Clark Kent. In my opinion, this is just my opinion, Henry Cavill was fine, but he was the same actor in both roles. It was just like, oh, that's Henry Cavill. Yeah, that's Henry Cavill in a Superman suit. That's Henry Cavill with glasses.
He had a grand total of, I believe it's just under or over 5 minutes of screen time as Clark Kent. I mean, the actual
wonderful,
Clark
isn't
Kent.
it? That shows you the disdain writers for those movies. Well, yeah, that shows. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm not talking just some random, not being the guy with the S. It's actual Clark Kent, Daily Planet, that sort of thing. In 3 movies with him as Superman, one of which he had any time as Clark Kent, and that was just about 5 minutes worth of screen time. So they basically wrote Clark Kent out.
Well, that shows you that
Superman.
Right, because that's the disdain and the hatred that the writers have for the character. I mean, it shows on screen how much they hate Clark Kent and how much they hate Superman. And Chris says they can try and take him. Not going to happen in Florida. Not with that wonderful. By the way, I know it's not a popular statement, but God bless DeSantis. He's the one we need as president of the United States. I don't even vote. I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. But that's the only man that can save this garbage hellhole that we're in my opinion. He's the only that has the butt. I'll say the guts. I won't say balls. Well, I said it anyway. There we go. Hush up, Pooch. I apologize, guys.
28. He's already.
Well, we can always hope so.
All but disqualified himself from the next one.
You know what's going to be interesting is, and I mean, obviously I'm not clairvoyant. I can't predict the future, but what I see is a run of DeSantis against Newsom, because Newsom is also eyeing that position, and unfortunately, the Democrats love him. You pretty much just hand since they already own the voting system, we've already seen how that's rigged. You can pretty much he can just walk into the position now, because
he wouldn't survive.
No matter what. Oh yes, he will, because remember, it's a party. It's not a person. We have a person up there now.
Him as a man would not live to get to the inauguration.
Well, we'll see about
that. You don't think so?
Biden did.
But
Biden,
Biden's
no
a
one
puppet.
gives a yeah. Biden's a fucking puppet. He has
He's
a
dangerous.
functioning IQ of about
He's
75 right
no.
now.
Biden doesn't make any decisions. We know that it's the Democrat Party is what is
Exactly.
dangerous.
Behind
Right.
the
So
scenes, yeah.
right, it's a Democratic Party, so it doesn't matter who's up there. Right. It's the
They don't
person
want
behind
him
the
to run
curtains.
again. They've got
No,
commercials now saying, "Don't run Biden."
Right, and what they're doing is they're trying to eliminate the Republican Party. That's why they're heading out
The
to
over under
That's
on
right.
Biden being alive for the 24 election is trending against him.
Well, maybe it's gotten to the point where even the Democrats are realizing that it's ridiculous. You know, the guy has Alzheimer's. I know they've been denying it, but we all know it. I mean, talk about gaslighting.
Yeah, yeah, that's yeah.
And
It's a bomb
right.
waiting to go off.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. I totally agree with you. And Chris says Florida has very strict voting laws. Does anyone remember 2000? Oh, yes.
Oh,
That
yeah.
was with Al Gore, yeah. Hanging Chad, my ass crooked back then, better now.
Hanging Chads are like dingleberries around Miami.
But what happened with that one, I still remember, is Al Gore pretty much won, but they all took on Murdoch, and it changed everything. So I knew then the voting system is fraud. It's very fraudulent.
Sorry.
So, so I've stated the reason. Back to Superman again. Sorry, guys. I've stated the reason why I loved. And I'm not saying that I love Superman the classic because I was a kid and that was the best Superman movie ever. I think in the right hands they could do a good Superman movie again. So what I'm hoping, and I could be wrong, but what I'm hoping is that what James Gunn has. By the way, I'm not a big fan of him. His movies were mediocre at best. Some of them I didn't like, and I hated the Peacemaker series. Shoot me, but it was woke as hell, and I'm never gonna. Well, anyway, but anyway, with Superman, I'm hoping he's gonna try to reboot and have an innocent. If he's smart, do like Sam Raimi. As Sam Raimi pretty much followed Superman movie step by step when he did the Spider-Man origin. And I'm hoping that's what James Gunn will do. I'm hoping and by the way, I want an unknown actor. They need to stop hiring these big name actors with all this baggage. That's the problem is Cavill has too much baggage now as a bad guy Superman. I don't mean as a bad guy, but as a bad guy Superman. And for them now to suddenly sell it to us, but now he's a good guy. Now he's smiling now. Too late.
Well, he quit The Witcher, though. I don't know if you heard that. I know. Yes. To play.
Yes,
yeah, because they made it too woke.
Yes.
So props to Henry Cavill for sticking up for what's right.
That's absolutely correct.
Yes. And he doesn't want to deal with bad writing. He doesn't want to star in bad writing. And they're using the platform, they're getting their agenda across, and it's wrong.
Yes, it is. And
they're sacrificing good writing for agenda. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, no, you're fine. What I was going to say is, and I definitely commend him for that. That's why I like Henry Cavill. But the problem is I would say to him, you better watch out. You're playing in dangerous waters in Hollywood because that's an easy way to destroy your career, right?
It sure is, yeah.
He's not overly worried about his career. He has his money.
He's rich.
Oh, I know. Yeah. I agree. But unfortunately, though, it's dangerous
now until the end of time, he can show up at a Comic-Con and sell autographs for
what is
$5
the net worth of the actor Henry Cavill?
Don't be surprised if he pops up as James Bond. But I know that's going to be that's just a wish because I know we're going to get a fat black female.
Oh, you know it's going to happen. Yeah. Computer, what is the net worth of
Be right back, guys.
From the last one, quit. She bailed on
Listen to this.
His net worth stands at a cool $35 million.
Henry Cavill is valued at $35 million. He's not going to care if he has a fit about bad writing. If they destroy his career, fine. He's set for life. His family is set for life for generations if they play their cards right.
All right.
You guys still there?
There we are. Yes. Sorry, I had to step away for a second, guys.
Oh yeah, like I was saying, Henry Cavill is worth $35 million. I just looked it up. So if he decides,
the Isle of Man.
Yeah, he's an island unto himself financially. He doesn't need to star in bad writing if he chooses not to.
Right, but remember, everything we're talking about has only happened within a matter of a couple of weeks, so we never know what could happen in the future, right?
That's true. That's true.
Well,
And if he's under
yeah.
contract, you know,
James Gunn could OD tomorrow.
yeah.
You know, think about this. If James Gunn was smart, and this is what I would accept. If James Gunn was smart, he would not announce it. He would not tell anybody, but he would hire James Cavill as another big DC superhero. Then I would accept it. As a complete, clean slate, fresh start, I would love to see Henry Cavill as a superhero. But
What
after
about
his-
Henry Cavill as the evil Superman?
I don't think Henry Cavill would agree to that because I'm sure you guys heard about the interview that he did a couple of weeks ago saying that he refused to play Superman unless it's full of hope and joy.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
true. You're right. I did hear that. Yes.
Right. And when I saw that, I said, okay, that's great for him. But when I heard James Gunn recast, I thought, why would he do that? And I think the only reason why I'm hoping is to recast with an unknown. And I see a good reason to hire an unknown. A lot, the salary's a lot less, right?
I think the
Maybe
majority
I'm
of the fan base likes
gonna-
Henry Cavill, though.
That's why they can. One of the primary reasons they can Cavill, Godot, and Affleck, because they were pretty much a third of their budget for any movie they'd make.
Yes, exactly. So casting
As
unknowns
far
is like a reset.
Yeah. As far as James Gunn being smart, him writing some of his quote unquote highlights of his career is the live action Scooby-Doo movies. Are you really gonna trust someone who wrote the live action Scooby-Doo movies to write Superman?
I know.
Right.
And I've watched his movies since he's working with Troma. But remember now, he's going to be a producer only. He won't be writing these new movies, so we don't know who's going to be writing them at this point.
James Gunn said he's writing the new Superman script.
Well, then, oh God, that's my immediate response.
What I did like about the current Superman movies was the soundtrack. That first Superman movie with Henry Cavill, the soundtrack I thought was awesome.
It was okay, but compare that to the John Williams soundtrack is blasphemous. I'm sorry. In my opinion.
They ended up getting some sort of bastardization between the animated series song and the Lewis and Clark theme.
This is my personal opinion, but I think John Williams' work on Superman, in my opinion, is the best soundtrack of any movie series ever. I think better than Star Wars, better than Raiders of the Lost Ark.
I would have to agree with you on that one, though. I did enjoy that first Superman back in 1980. The soundtrack was really good. Da, 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 da,
and it says
da,
Superman. And by the way, you guys have seen the old Max Fleischer cartoons, right?
I'm not sure if I have or not.
Okay, there were a series of very good quality animated cartoons from the 1930s and 40s put out by Max Fleischer Studios, and they were called Superman. And what's great is the music went dun da da dun da da. It was a Superman soundtrack, and it said Superman in the theme. Superman, Superman, Superman. And then fast forward to 1950, 1958, we get George Reeves' version, and it is dun da da. It's like an updated version of the Max Fleischer version. So we get the 58 version, dun da da dun da da, and it still says Superman within the music. So what I thought was a stroke of genius is when John Williams was hired to do Superman the movie, he obviously went back and listened to the first two and brought them into it and upgraded them for modern audiences. And that's how we get that full, robust soundtrack of Superman the movie. So if you guys didn't realize, a lot of that music was influenced from the... Well, no, it was like a full orchestra, and it was updated with...
Yeah, because the originals...
I can't get strict.
They were more like sped up and more targeted toward kids. The one for the Reeves movies, those weren't targeted to kids. Those were
everybody.
pieces of music.
Right, that's just it. They were like epic and like sprawling, right? But if you listen, I can't play it or I'll get stricken. If you listen to the soundtrack of if you watch just a little bit of the old cartoon and then the 1958 series, you will see that. You'll say, hey, that sounds like the Superman movie. So I'm glad John Wayne respected the history and included that, which is, I think, one of the things that makes it, I think it for generations, it'll never be dated. I think that if there's a new Superman movie, I think James Gunn will be a fool if he doesn't use the John Williams soundtrack.
I agree. I 100% agree with that. Yes.
Even though by then John Williams will probably be retired and or dead. Hopefully not either one. I'm
But
a
he's
big
like
fan
90
of John
years
Williams.
old, isn't he?
Yes, he's
And his son, I think his son is taking over for him, though.
I wouldn't be surprised. And he said it a couple times he's going to retire, but he still seems to be making Star Wars. So go figure.
It's a wonder he can still hear. Because my high school band teacher, his hearing's about gone now, and he's like 75.
Well, the difference between a band or a, because what you're talking about is instruments, percussion, right? You said a band?
Exactly. All the instruments, yeah.
Right. There's a difference between that and an orchestra, right?
Well, I'm sure, there's probably some sound protection, why they're, playing the orchestra. Whereas in band class.
I had a friend who loved John Philip Sousa, and that's all he would play. And I liked that type of music, but it's loud and bombastic on the ears, especially if you like a parade. If you're watching a parade on the street, and as soon as the marching band is passing by, it's like you're practically covering your ears because they're all being told louder. We want louder. We want you to be the loudest one. Is what they're all being told.
I was in percussion section in high school from 1989 to 1993. And I know exactly what you're talking about striking up the band and the noise. Because I was the cymbal player. I was the shortest guy in the class, but I played the loudest instrument in the band. It was fun. It was fun. I'm only 5'2". I'm slightly vertically challenged, but that's okay. My shortness has always been an advantage to me in my life. I had one bully, and I beat the snot out of him. The principal's wife had to pull me off of him, and I turned and I almost hit the principal's wife. And I'm surprised I didn't get kicked out of school, and neither did my bully. But I put my bully down. But anyway, maybe we can make a movie out of that. I don't know. Oh, I know, 315. Remember that movie in the 80s where I think it was called 315 High or something like that, where they had a meet after school. It was funny. Look it up. It's a funny 1980s comedy. It was called 315. Is it called like
315 or like THREE?
No, I think it's. I'll look it up here. I got my.
Right.
80s. It was a good comedy. I haven't seen it since the 80s, but 80s movie called 315. Basically 3:15 when the bell rings.
Yes. And Chris says we all must stay strong. Hunker down. Get ready to pass muster. It's going to come. Prep up, kids. I hope you're right. Go
3:15, The Moment of Truth, 1986.
315?
It shows the time. Yeah, 3:15, The Moment of Truth.
Okay, I was just worried about the spelling so I could look it up. Thank you.
Yeah. Just take a look at it. Look it up.
Chris Longfellow says, Pop Germ Mike, I've really enjoyed this show. Good topic. And I love that we don't always agree. Lively debate is a lost art. Thanks.
Oh, yeah. We can agree.
Yes, exactly. There's a lot of YouTubers. As soon as you disagree, they pile on you. Right. And not pile on.
That's okay. I can handle that.
Hail, Philip Gaming. Glad to see you there. Philip Gaming is a celebrity, if I remember right. He's the one that does background acting. He was on the Orville.
I love the Orville. Such a good show.
Captain Finity, lively debate, a lost art. No, it isn't. Not on our channels, right, Captain? If you want to see lively debates, just go to Captain Finity's channel. I highly recommend it. Let me see if I got him in my StreamYard here. StreamYard's bot is a little finicky, guys, so I'm going to try to see if I can get it to work. And what I need to do, I'm going to need to add all of you guys. If you have channels, please let me know. And I'll include it in my stream bot so I can promote your channels in the chat like I just did Captain Finity.
Okay, I don't have a channel, but yeah.
I recommend it. The man is hilarious and extremely smart. And by the way, if you're a fan of Back to the Future, that's the #1 channel you want to listen to.
I love it. I got it on Blu-ray. Such a classic.
Then Captain Finity is the name and time travel is his game.
Okay, cool.
He will ruin the movie for you, though.
Not like because he's a hater, but he can extract and scenes and a lot of details you never realized.
Okay, cool.
And Captain Finity says, there we go. Here I am, meringue. Somewhere out there is lemon pie. So that's why Captain Finity is saying meringue. Okay, so let's see here if I can get to the next picture. Let's find out. If I cannot screw this up again. There we go. And here's something else that reminds me of, and I'm glad I want to forget. Here's another thing that I sorely miss from the Chris Reeve Superman movies. And you guys tell me if I'm wrong.
Okay.
Back then, the slogan for that movie is "You will believe a man can fly." A lot of the budget and effort and time they spent on production was making it look like Christopher Reeve was flying. Now, we all know, yeah, he was on wires, okay, but they also used other effects to create the illusion. My point is, when was the last time you saw a superhero where he flew like this Superman? Because now it's CGI, and what they do now, what's sad to say, is they'll show the guy on the ground, and he puts his arm towards the air, and then like zoom, like within a split second, he's off the ground, a CGI effect. They rarely ever show an actual actor on wires trying to make it look like they're actually flying. They don't care about that anymore. They just zoom off the ground and zoom crash. And by the way, they always have to crash land for some reason.
Yeah.
Christopher Reeve's Superman was very elegant and graceful the way he flew. And you could feel it with him. They showed him flying around the city and enjoying it. And you felt like, wow, that's something I would want to do. I wish I could fly.
Yeah.
But now
General
it's like,
Zod.
right now,
outside.
Yes, and now flight is like an afterthought in these superhero movies. It's like zoom, and they're in the sky, and zoom, they're on the ground.
Well,
with
it's a
no
lost
thought
art.
whatsoever.
It's a lost art now. Computers
terrible.
do everything for us. You're taking away something from humanity and our thought process and our creativity when you let a computer think for you.
Exactly, and it's taken away all the things we enjoyed about it in the first place, right?
Absolutely. I agree. It's still good stuff today. It's great stuff. Almost too good. That's just it.
Right, you can watch this now, and believe me, I don't know if a lot of people thought about it, but now if you go back and watch these Chris Reeve movies, you're like, wow, they actually spent a lot of time showing him flying, just enjoying the flying.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's not even heard of now. It's like, no, just zoom and zoom here and zoom there. Oh, I just not it all.
Well,
it's another example of. Go ahead.
In a sense, it's kind of taken away the enjoyment of the movie for the viewer.
Right, because
there's no hard work put behind it anymore.
Nope.
A guy on wires was a tricky thing.
It was, and I know it sounds hokey and old-fashioned, but it's what made Superman Superman.
But that's
made
what
it
we
look
need.
like he was
hokey and old-fashioned. Maybe we need that back.
Right. And not a CGI Superman. Hello, Superman Returns.
Mm-hmm.
Superman Returns kind of tried it, but we know that, and I give the director at the time credit, but he almost tried it. But we all know that it was a CGI Superman, which it ruined it for me, at least, just because some actor does not want to get on wires anymore.
He couldn't get on wires. They tried it on Superman Returns. He was notoriously uncoordinated, to put it mildly.
All right, that's called miscasting. That's like when they hired that horrible Pattinson for Batman. And it's like, well, we don't care that you don't look or act or you cannot be Batman, but we're going to hire you anyway.
That movie was all right.
Well, and I'll say this, and Brandon Routh, the guy who played Superman, he looked like a great Superman. I mean, he almost looked like Christopher Reeve 2.0. So, and I liked his portrayal as
and that's
Clark
his
Kent.
face is why he got the role. They didn't think of him actually being able to physically do it. His face looked like Reeves, so they hired him on the spot.
And I do have to say, loathed and hated Kevin Spacey in that role. My God, I hated Kevin Spacey. I'm in California, and by then we already knew the history behind Kevin Spacey. It wasn't until a decade later that the public would find out. But when I saw that movie, I had already known about Kevin Spacey, so that was deplorable. And the only reason why he got that job is because the director was in the same bed with him. I'll just say that.
Yeah, anybody who harms children I don't care what the internet says, should be executed immediately without trial if they can prove it.
Right.
Yes, I'm sorry. I got 5 kids. I got 4 daughters and a son. So you don't hurt children. There is no greater dishonor.
So now everyone should know how everyone feels up here about Bill Gates.
Right, and the sad thing is too, you got to watch out, Mike, because you try to say any of that, then you're a domestic terrorist, right?
Nope, that's okay. I still have a constitution that protects me.
Yeah, but can you imagine we're living in the day now where if you're a parent that speaks up about how horrible the education is, they can arrest you and not do something about school?
Oh, yeah. Our education system absolutely sucks, and I'll say it out loud. They are trying to teach I teach my kids. Now, they're supposed to teach them math and science and arithmetic, but I teach my children morals and the value of morals, not my school.
Captain Finney says, how dare you? I hope I didn't insult you, Captain. If I did, it was not intended. Philip says, hey, Chris. And Chris says, I really missed your show today. Hope you are well, Captain Finney. All right, go ahead.
No, I'm done. I'm good.
I guess okay. All right.
Affinity was just
so let me
get
get to the next
something you said
picture
earlier. He's not offended.
Gotcha. But like this scene right here that I'm sharing, they've never even showed anything to resemble anything similar to this in any of the recent superhero movies. I mean, all the effort they went to, and I don't know, they just don't take time to care about the character itself. It's like, quick, get to the next scene, action, next scene, action.
Yep.
Which I have to say is another reason why I loathed and did not like Man of Steel. I mean, oh yeah, great, it had a lot of budget, yeah, it had a lot of action, but I didn't like Superman. I didn't like Zod. And as we all know,
like Zod either.
When Superman killed Zod, that was like, who wrote that? It's like, what? So Zack Snyder, burn in HE double toothpicks. How's that? There's my opinion about Zack Snyder.
Yeah, why would you kill off one of his biggest?
Yes, Warner Brothers was part of the problem. But remember who directed the movie? The fact they wrote it into that situation, it was foolish. I mean, think about it. Superman murdered a guy. It's like, I can't believe I'm saying that. Superman takes his clothes off and gets into a bathtub with Lois Lane. Did I actually say that? It was like, oh my god. So yeah, Zack Snyder's
material they were limited to.
Wait, I got something.
He was taking the best of the New 52. That's how bad the New 52 is.
Yeah, if you look at Superman 2, 1980, right? And then you look at, okay, so in that movie, wasn't there a scene in Superman 2 back then? Wasn't there a scene where Clark Kent was on the balcony of Lois Lane's apartment? He could have used his vision to see through her shirt, but I think he looked away.
Yes, he did.
Now you got Clark Kent getting into a bathtub with Lois Lane. Look how the morality has changed in 45 years, 40 some years.
Yes.
So yeah, I agree. The morality of the Clark Kent character has taken a nosedive. Yes.
Right, and I think that it's good. It's probably going to stay the same. Unfortunately, I wanted to shout out, welcome, Citizen Universe 333. Welcome. He says, "Hey, Pop, glad you could join us, Citizen. Christopher Reeve is the all-time best Superman on film. Yes, you're preaching to the choir. That's what we were just talking about. Hearing you all talk makes me happy. I didn't have kids. I've never regretted it. Same here, no kids. I was a teacher, so I worked around kids my whole life. I'm not cut out for it. Stay strong, wonderful fathers. But now that I'm older, I regret it. I wish I would have had a son." And Citizen says, "Hey, Chris Longfellow." And Chris says, "Citizen, hi there, friend." And Chris says, "Citizen, we must stop meeting like this." Yes, I was I used to be a teacher. And at a point for at least 10 years, I was an elementary school teacher. So I can tell you this, if I was a teacher right now, they would be stoning me and bombing me and attacking me and setting booby traps, because I would not be going for any of this garbage they're doing now. I would be the one arguing against everything.
Mm-hmm. First off, thank you. Thank you for teaching our kids in a morally way. If you are against today's teachers and they're told to teach the stuff by their school higher ups, but thank you for being a teacher. Teachers, to me, are just as important as military veterans are.
Well, the kids are the new generation, and if you want to, how do you affect the new generation? By what you teach the kids.
That's right. That's right.
I remember when I was a teacher, I'll put it this way. I still bucked the system. When all the other teachers were putting Disney movies, they would sit the kids down and put those horrible Disney movies on a loop over and over and over and over.
Oh, yeah.
I hated it. I loathed it. You know what I was showing in my class? Laurel and Hardy, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, and that kind of stuff.
I watched Gettysburg my senior year.
At my schools.
At school.
That was PG and PG-13. They didn't allow that.
When I showed Indiana Jones and Temple of Doom, it was for 5th and 6th graders. I didn't do it for the 3rd and 4th and all that. And the kids loved it. By the way, they loved Laurel and Hardy. They couldn't wait to come back and watch the next one.
Stuff in high school up here.
No, they won't. No, they won't.
No, I was saying I got to watch the movie Gettysburg in 1993 when I was a senior in high school. That was a good movie to show high school students because it taught the actual history of the United States. Not this new stuff they want to teach our kids, the 1619 Project and all that. Oh, yeah. No. Our country was 1776. Slavery was, there were black people putting black people in chains. Historically, that's been proven. Yes, there was white slave ships, but they used black people to get black people onto those ships. And what we needed to do is we need to get back to teaching our kids this 1776 project.
Right.
That's where it's at.
I completely agree. And it's sad that I'm afraid it's not going to happen, unfortunately. And that's why that's why I'm glad I'm not a teacher to be around this anymore, because there's no way I would be able to tolerate it. There's no way I would be handled being surrounded by a bunch of groomers. I don't want to get my channel stricken, but especially being in California. Imagine being a teacher in California.
Oh, goodness. That would be a nightmare.
I know it, right?
Now if you're
right. Even when I was a teacher, the older ones were retiring because they saw the change coming. So there's a lot of
good for them.
Saw things coming, and they were getting out like crazy.
Yeah, this country is, sad to say, going to hell in a handbasket. I mean, I've taught kids too as a teacher, but in the ministry.
Now remember, it's not just the U.S. now. Remember, now it's the whole world now almost.
Oh well, you see, here's the thing: it's
the
not
Western
just
world.
It's not just a platform anymore. They actually want to change thousands of years or hundreds of years of modern thinking. I guess I shouldn't say thousands of years, but hundreds of years of modern thinking. They want to rewrite.
They want to create. They want to erase the past and create a new future. Is what they want to do. And
they want to create.
Erase the past, make their own past, teach people what really did not happen, and then create their own future, according to Disney.
Yeah.
Remember Disney? Yeah. They're reimagining of the futures. Social reengineering is what Disney called it, right? We're right out of the mouth of Disney.
But there are those who are going to take a stand against it. And as they start to get worse and they start to indoctrinate our children on this stuff that is not of this world, I don't know what they're thinking, but there will be people to rise up, and not in violence necessarily, but in a setting where we can discuss this and get our country back on track, because they're going to see our children go to hell in the handbasket if they don't change things.
Yeah, but think about this, right?
You can't be entirely the whole nonviolent talk it out. You got to be willing to pull back and let evolution take its course with these people. Mm-hmm. Don't let them have your children. They're not having children, so the problem will be solved in about 2 generations.
Yeah, it's going to be bad for a while, but yeah.
The whole point is to reduce the population. I was watching an interview, or I was watching a video clip. It was Bill Gates speaking in front of an audience. And he was talking about his vaccines. And he said the only way to reduce the population is by vaccines. That's the exact words out of his mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that fucker has 6 kids.
Yes. And he's also now the largest landowner in the world. He bought everything up during when they were forcing everyone out of business. He was buying everything up at the same time.
For the love of money is the root of all evil. For the love, not money itself.
And by the way, right. And just like Fauci, none of us voted him into office, people.
Nope.
And Citizen says, preaching to the choir, LOL. Sorry, I just got here. Citizen of the Universe, sorry, we're supposed to be talking about Superman, so we kind of are off and on. And Citizen
Well,
Universe,
we're talking about morality, Superman and morality. So
that's what brought it up, right?
yes, exactly.
It's morality is what's missing in society and in Superman. He's almost like a beacon of morality, right? Or he was.
He was.
I mean, think about this. He's not even allowed to say truth, justice, and the American way anymore.
No,
it's total communism right there. Right.
It's
total communism and socialism.
Yes, and that's got to be stopped. That is pure evil in the world. And not just because, listen, not just because it's the American way is capitalism and freedom, but truly.
And the nuclear family.
And the nuclear family. But truly, when they're trying to eliminate the nuclear family, they're trying to have bigger government, more government. That is against the Constitution of the United States. And I'll tell you something right now. In my opinion, next to the Bible, the Constitution is the greatest authority on earth. And they could put me on a blacklist. I don't care.
Oh, no, it's easy now because just like the Bill of Rights, they just ignore it all, right? I mean, remember the lockdowns? They just ignore it all.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And that's terrible.
It is. But guess what? But guess what it did? It proved to us that us as we the people, were never, ever really in charge. That's what we've learned in the last few years. We have never really been in charge at all.
No,
it's not we the people at all.
No, it's the Electoral College, and it's them rigging elections.
And don't get bribes, aka.
Oh yeah.
Right. What do they call them? What's the nice word for bribes again? Oh, lobbyists. Oh,
lobbyists. Yes, lobby groups. Yes.
And remember now, in some countries, they're beheaded for bribing government officials.
And it's kind of ironic because those countries seem to have more morals than the United States does now.
Chris says, in 8th grade in Illinois, we used to go to farms and meatpacking plants for field trips. Kids hunted, fished. Now a bunch of puss. Oh, yeah. Oh, no, I'm not going to show that anymore. Oh, my God. Remember now, we're not supposed to eat beef anymore, kids. We're supposed to be eating bugs. And Citizen Universe says, yes, exactly, Pop. Revisionist future, sadly. Yeah. Citizen says, I wouldn't have it any other way. We have a fun community. And the problem is the media. The general public eats it up. Right. And because, like I said, they own the media. Every word you hear in the media is bought and paid for. Yes, at Pop Culture, says Citizen, Bill Gates is atrociously evil. Pardon my French, but you are right, sir. Well, you know, he says. I know all about his depopulation agenda. Right. Trying to be careful what I type, know what I'm saying. I do, Citizen. I appreciate that. We've been treading on thin ground here tonight. And Chris says, get to Florida. It ain't perfect, but it's pretty great. I hope Florida still has room for all of us. It's like we're basically rats on a sinking ship. And Citizen Universe says, Pop Culture, glad you see through the BS, unfortunately. And it's sad. The only good thing I have to know and that I can helps me get through the day is knowing that I'm old and I won't be around to see what's going to happen. That's the only thing that I feel good about. And I can also say my parents have passed away. My grandparents have passed away. I'm glad they passed away and we're not able to see this evil, horrible world. So that's the only thing that comforts me anymore.
Yeah, my mother passed away September 20th. She was 85. And her generation and the generation before her, which would have fought in the Second World War, those were the greatest generations. Things have changed. The 1960s happened.
Yep.
And yeah, no
the radicals are in charge, right? In the 1960s, right, it was like peace and love and anti-government, anti-Vietnam. Well, now those people are in charge.
And now they're not like that. They're all big government and everything.
Socialism, fascists. Right?
They were big government back then too.
We are now living in a fascist society. I mean, I'm sure you guys all realize that, right?
Oh yeah,
it's getting there.
But well, you got to remember those.
It is I mean, think about it. The total censorship. You can be arrested for what you say. Right. What I'm saying is,
they were,
but now they are fascists.
They're fascists back then too.
Well, yeah,
the hippie bastards haven't changed in the last 60 years.
Nope.
They just wearing a little less of the bell bottoms and the flowery shirts.
I agree, but remember, they're the ones that ushered in. Keep this in mind, guys. Berkeley was a big freedom speech movement in the 60s. And now Berkeley is the highlight of the end of freedom of speech. Nobody with an opposing opinion is allowed in Berkeley at all anymore. They won't even allow it.
Yeah, if you control the colleges and the elementary schools, then you control the rest of America. Indoctrinating the youth and giving ideas in the colleges that are anti-American, that are anti-Constitution of the United States, that are conservative values. They want to throw it all in the trash. And here's the thing, guys. They don't know what they're going to get. Once they've thrown conservatism away and it's all socialism, then the hammer and sickle is going to come down on them, and they're going to truly understand how wrong they were once they see their freedoms taken away.
Now that I have to disagree with. Here's an example. I saw big people, liberals, on Twitter saying, they were saying, hey, everybody, don't you think that even if we knew about Biden's son originally in the first place, I would still vote for Biden? So, no, they're all on for the full change of everything. They've got a lot to gain from it. They know it. Well, so imagine that. They're actually saying, yeah, they're all with Biden, even if his son's all the nasty things that his son is. Sure, we'd still vote for him anyway. That tells you everything you need to know, right?
You have liberals, and then you have far-left liberals. I'm talking about the far-left fringe, way out there. Their ideals.
Well, they're the ones that dominate, right?
That's true.
The useful idiots.
But once they get rid of our Bill of Rights, they will see the error of their ways.
Well, here's what I'm
saying. Then big government controls everything.
Right. Okay, here's what I'm saying. That's okay. Here's what I'm saying. And this brings up to what you guys were talking about a little while ago. Imagine a modern day setting. You have two groups, right? Yeah. Let's say you have conservatives and Democrats, just either way on both sides. But here's the problem: is you looked at the Republicans and they're peaceful. They'll do protests. And then I look over at the Democrats. They're loud. They're shouting. They're burning. They're tearing things apart so they get the attention. And until the Republicans get angry and start fighting back, it's a lost battle. In fact, it's already over. They win.
So how does that?
They own the courts. Look at our military now. The other countries are laughing at us because all we care about is social, or diversity. Now we have the weakest military in the world now.
Yes, because we have people at the top. We have people at the top that are having identity crisis, and then you can't have that when you are trying to command the greatest military on the planet that's ever existed, that fights for freedom, and you got somebody at the top that doesn't even know who they are as an individual. How can they lead a military?
Yeah, pretty
much. You guys know who I'm talking about.
Right. Yes, we do.
I don't need to mention it. I don't want you to get a strike.
Did you guys see that clip it was from Russian television where they were laughing at us because we swapped one of their evil spies for our lesbian black basketball player. And we got, instead of getting one of our heroes back, they have one of our heroes. But instead of that, the white cis man, oh, no. We got to get back the black lesbian because she clicks all the boxes. They were laughing about exactly that.
I totally agree.
They laugh about a lot of stuff.
And they're justified. And it makes me
daily
sick.
Occurrence.
But it's they have a good point, which is sad. I'm going to cover this.
They have a legitimate ruler. And
yes, they do.
Halfway decent, they manage country.
Well, their ruler is not
they're just extraordinarily violent about it.
Right, and their ruler, he's not have Alzheimer's, and he's not a coward, liar, a bigot, and he's not a plagiarist. There we go. Citizen Universe says, Gainesville, huh? Chris Longfellow. If I remember correctly, that's where the band Leonard Skinner is from. Oh, I love Leonard Skinner. I saw him in concert. Love me some Skinner, absolutely. Give me 3 steps. Give me 3 steps. Okay, anyway. Citizen says, I think you're right. I love it here. A half acre in the middle of nowhere. Perfect. Oh, that does sound great. It's pretty messed up when Bill Clinton was more conservative than most modern day conservatives. You're right. I remember then having an argument with friends and they were like, who cares about what happened with Monica Lewinsky? It's no big deal. I said, that's the president. I said,
that woman.
Right. And I was arguing.
Bill Clinton was not conservative. Bill Clinton just waved to the cameras every once in a while. Went back to screwing an intern.
Right, but back then there were people defending him, saying it was okay about Monica Lewinsky. I said no. I said that's the American president. You don't do that. Oh, it was okay. It was just
adultery. adultery, they should have pulled him. I know they impeached him, but he should have been completely pulled. His
Oh yeah, we're living
morality,
in a society, right? We're living in a society where you can impeach the president, and all you got to do is say, "So what? I'm not leaving."
That's right. Yeah.
So impeachment
Now-
is nothing now.
Just didn't
Impeachment,
get removed.
impeachment,
Now,
right, which means impeachment means nothing. Why have it?
I think
That
they were
well,
wrong
it's a
to try to
two-parter.
impeach us.
Once
It's
again-
almost
Five.
two-parter.
Yeah, what I'm saying is, once again, we the people doesn't exist. That's what it means.
I believe it can again. I'm holding out for that.
Well, God bless you. I hope you're right. I hope I'm wrong. Chris says, after
Yeah.
seeing that, what young person would sign up for service? Well, I do if I want to be represented, and I want to. Oh, by the way, if I want a free sex operation and transfer, absolutely, I'd sign up right now. The only other option to get a free sex change is in jail. Which one would you pick? And by the way, remember, after you get the sex change, it's a
Just
lifelong
move
of drugs
to
and medication.
any West Coast state.
Right, and just remember, they talk about, oh, well, they spend money on men. Well, transition surgery, not only is it expensive for the surgery, but it's a lifelong of hormones and drugs and everything to keep it. They
It
don't want
sounds
to
like
talk
a
about any of that
disaster.
stuff.
But
Oh, and
and what they don't
yeah.
tell you about it, it's not a normal lifelong. It's about half a lifelong.
And no matter what they say, your DNA makes you male or female.
right. And
You are
let's
you
not-
are male or female down to your DNA, guys.
right. And let's not talk about the people who have gender surgery and then suicide. That's a big one too, right?
60% of all,
Yes.
from my research, 6 out of every 10 kids are killing themselves because they're having an identity crisis thanks to what they're being taught in schools and on the internet.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're a
And
boy.
after
Oh, you
the-
can't have
after
blue
the
toys.
surgery.
You're right. You're a girl. You can't have pink stuff.
Look this up. They have litter boxes in some bathrooms now
Or how about here in
for
California?
furries.
You guys heard they're removing the doors from the bathrooms? Yeah,
My girl-
in California, they removed the doors from the bathrooms.
My daughter would not, and they're having dual sex bathrooms, both sex, whatever
Yes.
they call it. I would
Yes.
never let one of my little girls go in there
Look what's going
when
on
I
with
know there
professional.
could be a pervert in there.
Right. Look, you guys have seen where in women's sports where they're allowing transgender men in there to dress in front of
Oh,
the
yeah.
women, and when the women
the
complain,
swimmer?
they kick. Yeah, when the women complain, they kick the women out and let that other person have that entire bathroom to themselves, and they're telling the real women to go dress somewhere else.
They
Yeah.
will be believing a lie, and they will be damned for it. They resist the
Chris-
truth, and they believe a lie, and they'll be damned for it.
Well, you can hope. Chris says Clinton
They're
got caught.
king.
We all do it. He was dumb. Sad when the chubby intern is your option. By the way, I have to remind everybody, I was alive back then. And Hoover Vacuum, the company that makes vacuums, they came out with a brand called Monica. Citizen Universe says so Orwellian. And yes, you're right. It is so Orwellian.
It
And
is.
Citizen says they're re-engineering according to Disney. Re-engineering society, Citizen.
But why? Why would you do that?
Eliminate. And by the way, okay, I'll make this fast. Hopefully, it won't strike my channel. You guys all heard of Planned Parenthood, right?
Yes, there's many of them in Seattle.
All right. Do you guys know what they do with the embryos?
Test them?
They sell
No.
them.
Experiment?
Nope. They sell them. Here's their terminology. They harvest them for stem cell research, and with the stem cells, what they do is they use those to inject people with Alzheimer's. That's what keeps Biden going.
Really?
To be exact, it's $15,000 per shot. So it's
And that's
rich
what's keeping him going.
people only. Yeah, isn't that ghoul? Isn't that morbid?
Yeah, somehow I believe
So
that's true.
next time you watch Biden in the news, right? Next time you watch Biden in the news, and he seems like he's there, and he's like, "Oh yeah," and he's actually talking normal. That means he had just had the shot before he went in front of the camera. But unfortunately, here's another thing: the shot only lasts for a few minutes before it wears off, and that you could see that happen while he's on the press. Anytime he's at a press junket where he's out there for like an hour, that shot wears off after like 5 minutes, and you could tell where he just a quick decline. And then
Oh
he's
yeah,
like
he
a
started
zombie
to
the
shake
rest of the time.
hands with ghosts.
That's very common
Right.
with dementia.
Right.
My father had dementia, and he'll be good for at some point during the day, like right after breakfast. He's good for maybe 45 minutes to an hour, But by the time that hour's up, nothing. He doesn't know where he is. He doesn't know who you are.
Yep.
And that's exactly what Biden does after. You don't need any stem cell shot. It's just.
Now, my understanding of Alzheimer's is plaque builds up on that memory that's formed in your brain. It's a literal fiber. And it's like a bridge between two synapses, I believe. And that plaque settles and destroys the bridge part, which is the memory, and you never get that back. And they got a man running our country with a nuclear box who doesn't know what's going on 99.6% of the time.
I know Kamala has the nuclear football.
We don't need her in there either. Because she'll just laugh at everything.
Right, he would be pushing the button every 30 seconds saying, "What's this? What's this?"
Yeah. And that's not running down women. That's not sexist. I'm watching how she is.
Right. And the worst part is, here we are back to gaslighting. The Democrats are telling us that's all not true. He does not have Alzheimer's. That's the worst part.
Then he's got dementia.
No, they're denying that. They're denying both.
Dementia, having seen both.
It's both. It's both. He has both.
Yeah, I mean,
dementia is one of the symptoms of Alzheimer's.
Yeah, his cognitive function is severely compromised.
It is. And we all know it, but the whole entire Democratic Party denies it even still. Even after he watches bumble his way. And by the way, of course, he won't take any questions from the public, right? And all questions are already pre-screened, and he has to read from a cue card. But no, according to the Democrats, he's totally fine. Oh, by the way,
and he had to be in his bunker basement the whole election.
Yes. And by the way, he's looking a little off. Quick, put the sunglasses on him, right?
Tom Cruise.
That's actually why they put the sunglasses on him.
14.
Yeah, they put the sunglasses on him to hide the fact that he's ailing and he can't think, plus try to make him look young. I mean, they've said that.
Yeah. Well, look at his wife.
By the way, is it effective? No, it's not effective.
Why would his wife allow him to run except for she wants power? If my wife wanted to be president and I knew she had dementia, I would love her enough to say, "No, honey, I love you and I know that's what you want. But I love you enough to say, you're going to make a fool of yourself not meaning to because you're ill and I love you. I don't want you to run." But no, she wants power. So she puts her husband in there.
That's why she married him.
Yeah. Well, now he's got dementia. He can't run a nation. Give me a break. She's a disgrace. It's a shame that she's this way. I'm sorry. I'm done. I'm sorry.
Right. Well, no, you're right. I was going to agree with you because the last president who did have the balls to step down was Ronald Reagan. He stepped down because of the onset. He said that it was coming, and they knew it. And then
Reagan didn't step down.
He first thing announced to the public.
Terms.
But you're right.
Well, he ran.
Well, he
stayed in both times though.
Right. Right. But I'm saying he stepped down from the public eye and from politics.
Oh, yes. After he was done with his 8 years, God bless his soul and rest him in peace.
And by the way, I was lucky because when I served in the Air Force, it was under him, and he's the last president that we've ever had that is not a warmonger, except for Donald Trump. I'm not a Trump.
Trump never started a new war
fan, but Donald Trump brought countries together.
And
he ended
he
wars
brought our
and brought
economy together.
But they want to keep fighting and arguing. Yes, he did. We had the best economy in 40 years.
We did, and no new wars. And why do we hate him so much? Why? Because he's not a politician. He's a man of the people. He's a businessman.
Well, think about this.
And he might have said he said some terrible things about women. And I don't agree with what he said.
Really?
But look at what one of us has not said something bad at some point in our life about a woman, or a woman saying something bad about a man. We all have, and yet they run him down.
Everything he said bad. Wait a minute. Everything he said or did that they claim is bad. Let's just remember Bill Clinton, guys.
Bill Clinton raped a woman in office.
It's okay when a Democrat does it.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And by the way, you guys notice that Trump hasn't been president 2 years, but that's all they still focus on. Have you noticed?
They won't shut up about it.
And have you noticed that every Republican that runs, they call it right? And every Republican in office, they call them Trump. And they even say, well, the next election for the next Trump coming in, They demonized every Republican by using that word Trump because now that's a bad name now.
Yes, and he was a good president.
The word Trump is the embodiment of evil for the Democrats.
Tell me how. Can somebody tell me how he was a bad president? Tell me.
He wasn't. He wasn't.
Okay, so
and as we all know, the election, the position was wrestled away from him. I was watching the debates, and I mean, come on, we're not dumb. Biden had an earpiece, and he was being cued what to say. And what happened anytime Donald Trump started asking questions? They muted his mic. They muted the president of the United States.
Well,
to protect Biden.
The first one, he just sat there and let Chris Wallace do it.
Oh, yeah, that's another thing too. The moderators were attacking Trump. They weren't even bipartisan moderators.
And this still all goes back to Superman. It does.
Superman represents what
especially
we
since
been.
There's a very Superman-esque digital
morality, guys. Morality is what it goes back to.
Morality,
Have
the family.
Have you seen the digital trading cards?
What's that?
Have you seen the
digital
Trump trading cards?
What is that?
No, For Trump, you mean?
No. What do you mean by?
Yeah.
What do you mean by? Yeah. What do you mean by digital?
It's basically just in
like
NTFs.
Magic.
Yeah, it's
NFTs. You mean NFT?
NFT. Be completely honest, it's a workaround for campaign donations. You get a little NFT for $100. See if I can find it on Twitter.
Yeah.
He made this big announcement.
I've heard
reference superheroes. Everyone thinks it's going to be something about the presidency and campaign and whatnot. He comes out at the scheduled time. Now selling these digital trading cards.
Oh, yeah, to make money for his campaign. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get
People
it, yeah.
go freaking insane for about 2 hours, and then he releases the stuff about, like, the digital Bill of Rights and what is his normal, like, 5-minute, 7-minute spiel he had. So he basically told everybody,
hey, guys,
you're losing their damn minds.
One of you guys was asking me if I was on Twitter earlier, right?
Well, I did because I could Twitter you, whatever it's called, if we do a horror stream together.
Oh, okay. So it looks like I am, and it's I can spell it out for you. It's M.
All right, let me open up my Twitter real quick.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Hold on.
Okay. Yep.
I'm going to pull up another tab here. It'll take a second. And then I got to figure out where do I. Okay, I searched Twitter. Here we go. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, it's MSHRI as in Victor ER 1701. So it's M Shriver 1701.
Oh, we got another Star Trek fan here.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, then you need to check out my animated series reviews and the TOS reviews that we've been doing.
Yeah, I popped in on one of your reviews. Yeah, I might pop in next time. Yeah.
I'm now following you, sir.
Okay, great. Yeah, good. I haven't really used Twitter, to be honest with you. But I would like to
communicate with people.
It's a lot more interesting now.
Yeah, it's better now that Musk has it. So it's
definitely.
It's not the hellhole like it was before.
And
to bring us out there, I don't want you to think we're ignoring Chris. Chris says, my father taught us to hunt, fight, fish, play basketball. He made sure his daughters were terrifying. Mom was good too. Yeah, see, that's the family that we all miss. And Citizen of the Universe says Planned Parenthood should maybe be renamed to Unplanned Parenthood. You're right.
Yeah.
There is no accounting for it. You can have an abortion as many times as you want, absolutely free, because they're making money off those embryos. Cord blood is a real thing, says Chris. At least that would be more honest, says Citizen. And Chris says, you're not a sexist. An idiot is an idiot. And Citizen says, don't worry. Presidents are all puppets. As long as we've all been alive, there has always been the threat of a nuclear proliferation. Go ahead.
I got 5 kids. 2 of the kids I helped deliver. And the cord is awesome. I got to clip the cord. I pulled my daughter out. The doctor put his hands under my gloved up hands, and I pulled my daughter out, and I got to take the sack. What do they call that sack? The that the kid is in.
Placenta?
Placenta. I got to take the placenta, put it in a pan, turn it inside out, and take a look at it. It's a fascinating thing. But I would never execute my children in the name of abortion.
Yep, exactly. Well, because you look at them as a living soul.
Oh my God, yes. Yes. God breathed in
Right,
Adam,
that's what
he
they-
became a living soul.
right.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's what they don't look at them. I mean, you've seen now they're doing abortions up to the 9th month.
Yeah. And saving the whales is more important than saving humans.
Of course it is.
What? I get it. You have to take care of the creation. I understand that. But not over the cost of a human baby's life. To them, it's not life. They don't care. They got
No, they
knocked up
don't.
on accident, and they want to get rid of it.
And they hate men, so that's another reason why, right?
And they hate men.
You know what's funny? How they hate men, and I see this in California. Hey, they're better than any man. They don't need no man. But guess what? They're going to fertility clinics and getting impregnated because they want children.
Well, I believe in our generation. I'm 48 in February. I believe in my generation, I will see a man give birth. I don't know how they're going to do it.
They're
But
already
they're
doing
gonna
it. We have,
somehow
a pregnant
figure
man. We have a pregnant man. So the movie Rabbit Test actually came true.
So he has.
That
he has
wasn't an actual man. That
it
was
had
a
to be transgender.
man.
Well, if you're going to ask me about what surgeries are included, that I don't know.
Yeah, a
They're
man
gonna-
naturally can't have children. You have to
I
have
agree.
ovaries. You have to have a pussy. You have to have the.
Well, they're changing all that.
Well, they're trying to work on that. Yeah, they're genetically trying to change humanity. Yeah, to what they're trying to play God.
Exactly. I mean,
And here's the thing, guys. Here's the thing. We're not to hate these people. We're to love these people. We need to have compassion for these people, not hate them because they're gay, transgender, whatever. We need to love them, but we don't have to agree with them.
Yes.
But we still have to care about them. They're a person.
Now remember,
we
we're
don't
still
hate
talking
To an
about,
extent, you
Rem-
can
Talking about
tolerate
Superman's
them.
morality.
right. And let's all
Yeah.
remember that we're talking about less than 2% of the population who are dominating everything.
That's true. I'm sure I'm pretty sure that's got to be an accurate number. Yes.
It is. It's actually less than that. I'm giving
Most
them
of the
benefit
ones
of the doubt.
doing the talking though aren't actually alphabet people. They're
Presidents
just
are
using
just-
the alphabet people as an excuse.
Yes, the
And
A through Z alphabet people. Yes.
Citizen Universe says presidents are just the public mask to obscure what the powers that shouldn't be are doing. Presidents are the public face mask of the agenda. That I agree, except for with Trump. Chris Longfellow says, almost had a peace in the Middle East. What a monster. Yeah, exactly right. We never would imagine peace in the Middle East until he came along. And
Not until
Citizen
the
says-
Antichrist shows up.
Right. And Citizen, right, if you believe Nostradamus. Citizen says
I
the
believe in the Bible.
NFTs. Citizen Universe, yeah, so stupid, LOL. And Citizen Universe says, I saw that, yeah. And Citizen says, Twitter is accessible. That it is. Citizen says, turn back now while you still can. Run for your lives. And Chris says, I'm not in any hurry to get
down
on
and
Twitter.
dirty in the cesspool of Twitter.
And Chris says, I'm not in any hurry to get on Twitter. I just learned how to live chat last
Yeah.
year.
To have
I still have the
The only-
old-fashioned methods, Chris. I use email. You may not be on Facebook, but I'm on there as well. I keep a presence so that people can contact me from my channel. And Chris says childbirth scares me so. I'm not at all maternal. A bit cold. Go ahead, Mike. What were you saying?
I was going to say that the only way, let's just say it like this, and somebody else said this before me, so I hope I'm quoting them close enough. The only way for evil to succeed is for good people to stand up against it. And if we sit down, that's when things go bad for society. When we just let it go. But we can't be violent. We have to fight this in the realm of ideas. And
Well,
you know
because,
what?
like,
Maybe
That's
someday.
where I disagree. That
Someday,
Yeah.
but someday it may come to violence. But what I'm trying to say, I'm not trying to preach violence. I'm trying to say, why don't we talk about it first and use violence
there,
to
tried
change
that.
things later?
They will shout you down. You've seen what they do. They
Yeah.
shout you down.
Yep,
And
that's
that
true.
doesn't work. They arrest you.
Right, and then,
But
so
if
they shout you down until you leave is what they do, and they win every single time in that order.
Yeah, I mean, for a lot of people, that's true because they weaken up or they're too scared to speak.
Yep.
We can't be
we
afraid
don't-
to speak.
Even if you stay firm and keep your point of view, they will send the cops after you.
Yep.
Well,
And
then
you'll
they
be
arrest me.
forcibly removed.
Then
And
they
they
arrest
still
me.
get what they want.
But at least I stood up. And that's
it's
when
zero.
it could take, like you said, it could take 2 generations for things to go back the way it should be. But if we don't do nothing now as the current generation, and I'm not a violent man, but if we don't at least say something, if we
Well,
just
wait a minute.
stand
How are you
and
going
mute,
to wait? Hold on. Explain. Just
Yeah.
I'm thinking this through. How can you change
Okay.
any further? How can you change any further generations when they've already taken over the education system?
that's what
You
you were
can't flip a
saying,
switch.
though. It takes a couple generations to get things back
Yeah.
on track.
Wait,
Yeah.
wait,
What you
wait.
need to
How?
do is
Wait, how? You
isolate
can't
them.
do that. No, what I'm saying is that you can't do that unless you replace the education system, which they'll never do. Replace teachers, that'll never happen.
Okay, but
I
here's
mean, I
the thing.
wish I would,
Pull
but
them out of the education system.
But here's the thing.
Let
It
the old
took,
system die.
how long did it take the liberals to start controlling our schools?
About a
Oh, it was
century.
slowly. It was over several decades, and it was
Okay,
slowly.
so now slowly we're going to have to put American values back into our system because they've decimated it almost.
Unfortunately, we don't have a century to wait.
That's what I
Right,
say.
but but we start it for our grandchildren and our
I had
children's
to-
children.
I have
Yeah,
to agree with
that ain't-
Citizen.
That's
You raise up a child in the way it should go. When it's old, it will not depart. It will always remember what it was taught when it was younger.
I agree with
Yeah,
Citizen.
but
where he
by
says,
that
yeah, it's so
point,
twisted.
It's
And
too
Citizen
late.
Universe, right? And Citizen says sometimes it feels like we're living in the end of times. I totally
We are.
agree.
We are.
the end of-
Okay, that's
Okay.
happened several times before.
Edmund
Yeah.
Burke, correct, Mike. You are righteous and brave. It's important to be strong. You are all good people.
Read Romans chapter 1. Read the book of Daniel. It'll tell you that the Antichrist he'll be able to change times, and he'll take the natural use of the woman and be against it. I'm not going to preach, but I've read this stuff, guys. I
Well,
studied
we're not
It's
disagreeing
making
with you, sir.
sense.
Yeah,
I know you're not,
disagree
and I'm
with
not. Listen to me. I'm not mad right now.
it's just,
I feel anointed about what I believe, and I love this. This is great. I love this discussion. It's fun. I love it when people disagree with me because I love debate. So I am never angry in this format. In fact, I'm very calm.
Well, I'm definitely not disagreeing with you, sir.
Yeah. It's okay if you did, though. That's just it. That's America.
Oh, yes, exactly. And not censor and shout you down, right?
That's right. We're living the First Amendment, and that's a wonderful thing. People across the seas in most countries can't do that.
And by the way, enjoy it while you can.
Yeah, they destroy the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. We fall into the one world government system, and the United States is no longer a unique island in a world.
Fascism.
We are no longer, we are no longer a sea. We're no longer, we're no longer an island of tranquility in a sea of organized chaos. We become like them.
Yep.
And that is, we cannot allow it.
The Citizen says, I just kind of look at it as let the chips fall where they may. Sad to say, you're right. Because we have no control over it. What can you do? I mean, remember, the presidents are not elected by popular vote. They're elected by who has the most money and power.
Electoral college, and if you have a cheating device on your machine, yes.
That's right.
That's right.
And Chris says at Citizen, I think you are right. Prep up, friend. And Citizen says, I've heard that the Antichrist might not necessarily be a person, but a spirit.
Well, here's the thing. The Antichrist, it says that the Antichrist gives, or the beast, the false prophet, he gives power to the beast. And he gives it, I got to find the quote, but yeah, he very well could be an AI.
I'm just saying that it's been done before.
It could be an artificial intelligence.
Yes. Well, because AIs, we've seen how dangerous they are. And it's getting to the point where you can't tell the difference between reality and an AI anymore.
You can't.
Chris says it's so sad that church and religion have become something unfamiliar to many. Well, remember during the lockdowns, churches were the first things they shut down. Keep the Walmarts open and the Costco's and
Yeah.
everything else, but shut down those churches. Citizen Universe says, like a conscious cloud of darkness that has fallen over humanity. Yes, so true. During the lockdowns, by the way, like I said, I'm in California.
I'm sorry.
There was people that had to secretly hide in backyards and everything to worship. It was sad. I'm not kidding. They were afraid that the cops were going to come in and arrest them. Can you imagine?
It's
They
sad.
did try that up here at one point.
Yeah, you think that I'm talking
They
about
just
some
kept
horrible
going to
movie.
church and they gave up.
Yep. You think I'd be talking about some horrible movie, but no, that's a reality. But yet our governor, wonderful governor, kept his wine factory open and was continuing to go to restaurants and everything, and all these lavish functions, right? Why not? And I remember when they had the so-called laughable. Remember when they were trying to get Gavin Newsom out of California, and they were trying to what do they call that? Where they tried to
The recall.
the recall. That's right. But he was laughing because he knew they've owned the voting system here for decades. It's like, go ahead.
For a free and fair election, just like we got up here. The last free and fair election we had in this state was in 2004.
Here, I think it hasn't been since the 1980s, I'm guessing. 80s, 90s. Yeah, he laughed. And only that, though, it's a well-known fact that Republicans were going to vote and were told, sorry, you already voted. Somebody already voted for you. See you later.
They bypass that all here. It's all vote by mail. So they don't have to confront you. They just add ballots to the candidate or proposition that they favor.
Well, right. They have vote by mail here, but unfortunately, these were Republicans who thought, well, I'm going to do the right thing. I'm going to go vote in person to make sure my vote counts. And they would go down there and then be told, sorry, you already voted. Bye-bye. You already voted by a mail-in ballot is exactly what happened. That's how they took over the elections. That's why they created mail-in ballots. I mean, in the first place, right?
Yeah. Up here, they had a limited mail-in ballot. Then Dino Rossi won the governorship. And they sued, I believe, 3 times to find more votes.
Of course.
Stupid where they were finding them in bottoms of mailboxes.
Oh yeah, of course. And like Chris
then ever since then, it's to the point now you can't vote in person.
I'm not surprised. Chris says that crap didn't fly down here in Florida, and nowhere is perfect. But some places are just so awful and crooked, you know. That's what I mean. It's state by state by state, but it's like a disease that's taken over. And Florida is the last bastion of humanity that's left. It's our only hope. It's like, it's like, Star Wars when they tell Obi-Wan, you're my only hope. It's like Florida, you're our only hope. But unfortunately, you're outnumbered by 49 other states, and that's a big hurdle to overcome, right?
Those other states are smart. There's only like maybe a dozen of the 50 that are horribly gone.
Unfortunately, though, it's the ones with the most power and the highest electoral college votes. And Chris says, don't forget we have meth heads, gators, and, of course, Florida man. Well, you're going to find those everywhere, or at least the meth heads.
Not so many meth heads out here. It's prescription drugs and weed.
We lost Mike.
Hey.
And here it's like meth. We've got fentanyl. Yeah, meth is nothing now. We got fentanyl out here. By the way, I live in the Bay Area, the worst part of the United States, the Bay Area of California. And the San Francisco Chronicle published an article. They interviewed a homeless guy. The nice word is homeless. Remember, he's not a criminal. He's not a drug addict. He's not a bum. He's not a moocher. He's a homeless man. And in the interview, he said that he was homeless. And Mike is back. Let me include him. Hail, Mike. Welcome back.
Hail. Yes. I somehow got booted.
Oh, well, I'm sorry. I hope I didn't do that.
I don't know if you... Let me. I gotta pause YouTube. I'm getting that echo. There we are. Okay, now I can hear you. So, we were talking about the Antichrist thingy, and I'm just going to read this really quick. I'm not going to preach, guys. It said that the false prophet, he said, he had power. Now listen to this. He had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. So right there, I mean, it's very possible the Antichrist, the Antichrist is supposed to be the political leader, the false prophet's the religious leader, and the religious leader being the false prophet is able to cause a statue basically to speak, which nowadays would be an artificial intelligence. Don't worship the Antichrist, you're a dead person.
Well, how would you know? What we don't know is if the Antichrist, in order to come to power, they stay behind the scenes, and that's how they have the most power, right? Because we don't have like Biden, for example. He's obviously not the Antichrist, but we have no idea who's actually pulling the strings, right? Let's see here. I'm getting behind in the chat. Sorry, guys. And Citizen says the end of days. Let's see. Edmund Burke, correct, Mike. You are righteous and brave. It's important to be strong. You are all good people. And Citizen says, I just kind of look at his over the May. Sorry if I'm reading repeating chats. And Chris says, Citizen, I think you're right. Prep up, friend. Citizens, I've heard that the Antichrist might not necessarily be a person, but a spirit. Okay, yeah, we read that. Chris says, it's so sad that church religion have become something unfamiliar to many. And Citizen says, like a conscious cloud of darkness. I'm sorry, I read all these. That crap didn't fly down here in Florida, says Chris. And nowhere's perfect. Some places are just so awful and crooked. Chris says, don't forget we have method. Oh, yes, that's where I left off. Sorry. Chris says, weed is medical here. Saved my life. Got off pain management after 21 years. The only reason why weed was illegalized in the first place is because of the drug companies. They wanted to sell you and push their drugs. And Chris says, boy, Mike, that sounds like AI to me. Yeah, so totally true. I don't know how we got off the subject, but I like it. And by the way, anybody out there listening live or on the rerun, we're not trying to offend anybody. This channel is just for open opinions, and it's entertainment only. We don't mean any harm on anyone. We all just hope that things get better for everyone. At least that's my opinion. That's why I allow it. If anybody says anything that I think is wrong or not acceptable, I will immediately let them know. But I'm usually somebody who will allow different opinions, regardless of how crazy they may sound. But so far, I haven't had any crazy people on. Are you guys still there? Or is it just me?
Yeah, I can still hear you.
Are you there, Resolute? Are you there, Mike?
Can you hear me?
I hear you, Resolute. Thank you. Mike,
Okay.
Are you there? Mike's been having issues, so hopefully he can hear
Mike
us.
looks frozen.
Mike looks frozen.
There he
is.
Hi. So,
hello.
Yeah.
Again. Mike, you might have a better chance if you pause it. I think your video might be taking up a lot of your bandwidth.
Could be. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
We can hear you, yes.
Okay. So, here's the thing. We're all Americans, liberal, conservative, Satanist, Christian. We're all Americans. And we need to love each other through this and try to help each other through this. A lot of people have been deceived, but not all have been deceived. But we can't hate each other regardless of our gender or our sexual orientation. Hate has to stay out of this.
Well, think about it. We've survived for centuries. All this didn't come up to a head until the last 10 years or so, or 20 years, right?
I know. Yeah, I'm 48 years old. I know. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
We're talking about centuries of the nuclear family, centuries of mom and fathers and the kids. That's how the human race evolved. They want to end all of that. They want to erase and end it all.
They do, but Superman would not want that. He was truth, justice, and the American way.
And you're going to kick ass on the liberals.
I love liberals.
Stricken for that. I mean,
liberals,
but I say that I mean the far left, the crazy radicals. Is what I'm talking about.
the far left radicals. There you go. And there's far right people too. So, I don't believe that we should go around shooting liberals or anyone. It's not our job to take life unless it's war. It's not our job to do that.
Yes, I agree.
There's a season and a time for everything, even war. But just because you don't like a gay person doesn't mean you kill them. I tell you what, I am not gay. I don't believe in the lifestyle, but one of my best friends I ever had is gay. I could never hate him for his ideals and how he wants to live. I can't hate him. He's a good man. Just because I disagree doesn't mean I hate.
Yes. Tolerance, because that's what doesn't exist anymore, right?
That's right. That's right.
And in other words, you said it's love. It doesn't exist anymore.
That's
compassion.
exactly right.
Well,
yes.
There's a difference between tolerance, acceptance, and love. Tolerance is okay. The other two, I'm not really okay with those.
But I can't judge a person. God judges. We can be fruit inspectors, but we can't judge.
I can judge perfectly well.
Well, I mean, what I'm saying is you can't condemn. There we go. That's a better word. We can't condemn people.
Judge and condemn, right?
Right.
We're at a certain point.
We've all sinned and fallen short of the grace of God, guys. All of us. But God is merciful. And Superman was merciful. Except for when he killed Zod. I'm trying to keep us into Superman.
Superman was a beacon of hope, right? Superman was a beacon of hope.
Yeah.
When Superman used to come on the screen, we would say, all right, this is going to be it. The good guy is going to win. And he brings hope and love. And that's what is sorely missing now, unfortunately. And Chris says, I don't think folks would be offended. We appreciate debate. Well, I know you do, Chris. And we do here within this forum. I just hope people in the future, if they go back and watch my stream, don't try to trigger it or report me to YouTube jail or whatever it's called.
Yeah, it's not his fault. This is on me. If you go after somebody, you come at me. You don't blame this channel.
I appreciate that, Mike, but I will, considering you're a guest on my channel, I will take all blame. I'm like the captain of a ship. I am responsible for anything anybody on my panel says. And I will.
This
I
is
think
true.
You're pretty safe.
This is true.
YouTube has other problems at the moment.
Yeah, definitely.
But what I do hope is, with a lot of this, what we're talking about, I hope I'm wrong. I hope suddenly a miracle happens and everything changes, and people do learn to not divide and hate. But we're living in an area now. I mean, I'm in California. They're starting to segregate again.
That's terrible.
It is.
And it's probably against white people this time.
Everything, yes, it is. And I can't. I don't want to say anything. But yeah, certain races are saying we want to be segregated from everybody else, and we want everybody separate from us.
Well,
and I'll put it this way: it's everything opposite of what Martin Luther King was for.
Exactly.
Everything he was for is being thrown back.
Okay, in 2020, you had Caucasians bowing down to black people and apologizing because they're white.
They're doing that. Yes, they are.
I watched that on YouTube and I wanted to vomit because the only one we bow to is God. We don't bow to a man.
Well, I'll be realistic.
Not even God.
How about we be realistic? If you really feel guilty for black people the way they were treated, then go to the people who did that, and that's the Democrats. It's the Democrats are the ones that went over and got the slaves and brought them over.
Absolutely.
So, Democrats, sure, you're the ones that are guilty, but guess what? Don't make everybody else pay for it, including the ones who immigrated to this country who had no involvement whatsoever. Make us all pay for it, right?
The Democrats caused this, not black people or white people. Their agenda is to take over everything. One party system? No.
Yes.
That is not democracy. That is fascism, communism.
It is.
Whatever you want to call it. Liberalism.
That's why they've allowed cities to burn. Look at Portland going on over 2 years.
Oh, yeah.
And the riots.
Oh, they didn't care.
Right. Right, the peaceful protests we're told by the press, which in reality were riots, who have actually been continuing for years, and they still keep voting the same mayor. And
Oh, they're pretty much died down now. I've been down there. Once Biden got into office, they
yes, as I was going to say, right. Once Biden got into office, right, because they had control over Antifa, which is actually the biggest fascist organization in the world.
It's anti-government. That's all it is.
It's
Antifa,
like if I was
anti-government.
It's anti-government, but it's also right. But it's also anti-American, and it's anti-everything we've been talking about. Antifa just wants to destroy.
Antifa is not anti-government. They're the black shirts.
And guess what? They're being funded by the Democratic Party. That's the reason why the Democrats. Yeah, but that's the reason why the Democrats won't even acknowledge, don't even exist, because they're funding them. God, can you imagine if there was actually an investigation to find out where they've been getting all their money from?
Well, and their leaders are buying mansions up by the millions of dollars.
Well, look at the biggest.
Are they paying taxes on that?
Well, exactly. Think about this: the richest terrorist organization in current modern day is BLM, and look at the money they're rolling in right now.
Yeah.
Look at the mansions they're buying, they're burning down, and the people that they're killing.
Yep.
There was a video the guy put on YouTube. I don't know if you guys saw this, but a video where a guy on YouTube, he walked into a upper class white neighborhood, a store, a shopping mall, and this is a white guy around a bunch of white people. And he showed the BLM sign, and he asked them, what do you guys think about this? And they said, well, we think all life matters. They said, that's all right, whatever, but we think all life matters. Well, the same white guy went into a black community, and he held up a sign that says it said all lives matter. And he was attacked repeatedly by black people.
Right. Because they want to control the narrative.
Right. They want to control the narrative. And let's talk about who's the biggest. Let me see now, especially because now, like I said, I live around the famous Chinatown in San Francisco, and a lot of big Asian population here. Who's the biggest culprit when it comes to hate on Asians, huh? But let's not talk about that, right? Or my channel will get stricken, right?
Yeah.
Let's talk about all the money and organizations that BLM is helping with and charities. Let's talk about that, right? I'll give you 2 seconds. And
even all those IRS auditors that they just hired could track all that money down.
They own the IRS. Yep. Chris says that it made her feel better. I'm glad you feel better, Chris. It's so sad. You know what it is? Because it's not very often you get to say these anymore. It's getting the day where we got to watch what we say, or they're going to come after us. Just like Anne Frank living in that house and waiting for those German Nazis to come knocking at the door.
But you know what? You know what, though, guys?
They can try.
It's okay that they do, because we're defending the greatest document in the world since the Bible, the Constitution of the United States. We have every right to speak our mind. We don't have to teach hate, but we can teach freedom and love.
The only thing I disagree about with that is I don't think the Constitution is worth the paper it's written on. I have seen in the last couple of years it's not.
No, you're right. But
in fact, now they'll arrest you and take your family away and say, "Oh, that's all because of the Constitution." They're going to twist it to say it's the Constitution that gives us the right to take these things away from you.
They can try, but
there are a lot.
That's why I legally own firearms and legally have multiple bank accounts.
For now.
Yeah, until they seize them.
Right. Remember now, they're also right. They're also trying to make all money digital so they can keep an eye on everything you spend.
Well, that leads you to the mark of the beast.
Yes, it does.
Because, okay, listen, I don't know if you've heard this before.
That's why you have silver and
gold
assets.
Hear me out.
Paper stuff, actual coin.
So the mark of the beast thingy. Okay, the word mark, just the word itself, M-A-R-K, as it was written by John on the Isle of Patmos in Greek. The word mark means to put into or etch into or put under. A microchip is what it's going to be. And it could not have happened until the 1950s when the microprocessor was invented.
Yes, and they're already doing it. You saw Sweden, right, where they put it in their skin?
Imperial standard that was put on all government.
RIFD chip.
Yes, they're already doing it.
Yes, to animals, to movie stars and their children.
In fact, I can't.
But it's not the mark of the
To
beast
everyone
yet.
here too. There's RFID chip in the phone or computer you're using right now.
They can and your car. They can shut your car off if you got a modern day car when you're going down the road if they want to. There's a chip in there that controls it.
Right, and you can cast it away at any time, but once they put it under your skin, you can't escape it.
Right. Well, yeah. When
easy to get rid of too.
When the Antichrist is here to cause that to happen.
Right, Sweden's already doing it.
Well, it's a precursor to the mark. Yes, I agree.
Yes. Did you guys have seen where Sweden's doing it on their wrist, right? Where the thumb is?
Mm-hmm. I just did a study on it the other day. I got a bunch of papers on it. And
we've been doing that for about the last 6 years.
Yeah, they're going to replace the money system. Look what happened during the shutdowns of everything in 2020. Walmart wouldn't let you use coins for a while because they said there was a coin shortage. That ain't
all
true.
over the U.S. they were doing that. All over, yes.
Yeah,
they had signs in the windows that said credit card only.
Yep.
Chris Longfellow says tattoos are a mark. Yes, I agree, Chris.
Well, Hitler's tattoos weren't the mark of the beast because there should have been 1,000 years of peace after the Great Tribulation. And we're not, obviously, we don't have peace anywhere.
There'll never be 1,000 years of peace as long as humans are alive.
Well, I mean, if you
don't care what God you believe in, there's no way you can justify 1,000 years of idiot monkeys staying peaceful.
Well, that's okay. So just biblically speaking, once the 7 years tribulation is over with, Satan's tossed in the bottomless pit for 1,000 years. Jesus literally rules on the planet. This is the book of Revelation, guys. It's supposed to be 1,000 years of peace. Now, will there be things that happen that are bad? Yes. But the tempter, Lucifer or Satan, will be in the bottomless pit. He can't tempt man anymore for 1,000 years. Now, It just depends on what you believe. You're an American, so you have a right to believe whatever you want without persecution. So that's fine. You can disagree with me. That's fine.
I prefer the Bible, the books of the Bible that weren't written in the 3rd century.
Oh, you talking about the Council of Nicaea?
Where they
put the canon
where
together.
They assembled it.
Yeah.
Right back,
Revelations was.
I'll be right back.
300 years, 400 years after the fact.
Revelation was written in 90 AD by John on the Isle of Patmos when he was imprisoned by the Romans. He was sent to an island for punishment, and in a cave he wrote that book.
That was the questionable origin of it.
Okay, that's fine. But 300 years later, you're right. There was the canon was put together, the 66 books, 37 Old Testament, 29 New Testament.
Was relatively new at that time.
I'd have to look that up. I'd have to look into that. But John wrote it, the apostle of Jesus, one of Jesus' apostles. So he died in 90 AD. So he wrote it just before his death. That was fine.
Basically a stretch.
Yeah, well, the book of Daniel and Thessalonians also talks about the last days. And Daniel lived
They're very generalized.
But still, it does talk about a time where the Antichrist rules. It's talked about in the Old Testament.
It's very generalized. That's why they can easily make arguments for the Antichrist being pretty much any Roman emperor.
Well, that's true. Nero was thought to be, even Ronald Reagan was thought to be, because Ronald Wilson Reagan, each of his name had 6 letters in it. His first, middle, and last. There was 666. He wasn't the Antichrist. So you're right. It's very general. It's very vague in the timing of it, but it even says in the Bible, not even Christ knew when all this would happen, and he was God manifest in the flesh.
But it's all happened before.
Types of
every
Antichrist.
Time,
Hitler was a type
major
Antichrist.
Civilization falls, which it's happened time and time and time again.
Goodness,
it generally happens the same way too.
Absolutely, it does. And the thing is, though, we didn't have the microchip for those generations. Hitler had a mark, but he branded them. It wasn't an etched into
There
a
were
under.
always some sort of imperial standards going back all the way
to the days. Ever since the first civilization. Yeah. No, I don't disagree with you. I disagree about the writing of Revelation.
The microchip. Equating that mark of the beast to the microchip is... There's no difference between the microchip and any type of imperial insignia.
Okay, but see... Okay, with that being said, with the mark of the beast, it says that he caused all free and poor, or great great and small, free and poor, rich or bond, to receive a mark in their right head or their forehead without wit. They could neither buy nor sell, except he who had the mark or the number of his name, and that number is 300.
Be right back, guys.
66.
What was that?
So, huh?
Yeah, he said something. I didn't hear it.
Oh, he said he's back.
Okay.
So, it's a fun topic, and it still goes back to Superman and his morals. It goes back to morals and doing what's right. Hey, this is fun, guys. I love this. This is great. And I still respect everybody who has different opinions. I encourage that. You guys still there?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. It just went really quiet. Maybe that's because I stopped talking.
Still popping a little bit.
It's somewhat choppy. But yeah, I like Henry Cavill as Superman. I don't know. I don't know if it was the soundtrack that made me enjoy that movie or if it was Henry Cavill, but I don't like how they wrote in some of what Clark Kent, or not Clark Kent, but what Superman did.
It was a lot of the source material on that.
Yeah.
Because it was strictly based on the modern comics.
Yeah.
So they weren't able to go to the golden or silver age for anything. So, and
yeah,
there's a reason they gave up on the New 52 so quickly.
Yeah, I remember them talking about that, 5 years ago? They were going to do something like that.
I forget exactly how long the New 52 lasted. It was less than 5 years.
Yeah, you got to stick to the source material, the good stuff, and get rid of agenda and platforms before anything gets good again. Poor Marvel.
Well, we can always hope.
Am I keeping you awake, honey? I'm sorry. My daughter, I woke her up.
I'm gonna be closing this out to you anyway, guys. I want to shout out. Chris says they put it by the thumb. Curious, can't be cut out without ripping through tendons. But yeah, I know we're a little over the 3-hour mark, and my dogs are like staring at me. They want to eagerly go outside, guys.
Okay, hey guys, I had fun. Thank you so much for this.
Likewise, thank you for being here.
Yeah, I'll be back. Don't worry, we got to
really
talk Nightmare on Elm Street. So, yep, you guys have a good night.
Do you have a channel or anything you want to plug before you leave? Okay,
I don't.
Take care.
Yep, have a good one, guys. Enjoyed it. Bye.
Yep.
All right, good night. Take care.
Yep.
How about you, Resolute? Why don't you go ahead and plug your channel while you're here?
Cartoon, Saturday morning cartoons, 8 a.m. Pacific. Other cartoon-related content coming soon, hopefully.
Oh, my God.
Very cool. I highly recommend it, everybody. Check out Resolute Germ's channel. And I did I'm going to go ahead and put a quick link again. It's my Streambox element, stream, whatever it's called, if it works. And also, everybody, on Mondays, I have my Star Trek The Animated Series reviews. And on Tuesday, you'll find me on Anti-Derivative Jill channel, where we cover Star Trek The Original Series. And then on Wednesday, I cover Gilligan's Island with the wonderful Gorillas Random Thoughts. And also random, I'll have more of these streams called Musings and Rumblings from the Lab, as you can see, with open topic, open mic. And the topics always vary from, it could be anything. So, and like I said, all opinions are welcome. I don't care who or what your background is or who you are. You're always welcome to my channel. And I wanted to thank the chat, everybody, for being here. I know it's kind of a long list, but I appreciate every one of you. We've had, if my chat's going to work good, don't die now. We've had Chris Longfellow here. Thank you. Resolute Germ, you're here. They call me Nobody was here. Captain Infinity was here. Mike Schreiber, of course, wonderful Mike Schreiber. Thank you for joining the panel. And Euler Greg, thank you, Euler Greg, for being here. I appreciate it as well. Euler Greg is a very, very good man. He has wonderful reviews on his channel. I highly recommend them. I need to add Euler Greg to my stream element spot.
At least
Scogli, the wonderful Scogli was here. I appreciate that, Scogli. And Philip Gaming was here. Well, for a long time, it wasn't working, and now it's like a hit and miss. And Philip Gaming says, hail. Thank you for being here, Philip Gaming, and Captain Infinity again. And most of all, importantly, I want to thank you, Resolute Germ, for being here the whole time. I appreciate you joining me on the panel and keeping this discussion lively.
Glad I could be here.
It's my pleasure. And so thank you to the chat. Without you guys, I would not be here. And thank you to my panelists who were here for the night, and Resolute Germ most of all. And I'm going to go ahead and close this. I want everyone to have a wonderful night. Let me find my usual stuff. There we go. All right. Thank you, everybody. Take care and peace.